Chapter 722. The cultivations of the other three were even lower than Hu Hai's. Clearly, they were in an even worse state. They were surrounded by danger, like fallen leaves in a strong wind. They could fall at any moment. Shui Lingling, who was fighting by Wuxue, wanted to help. However, she could not free herself. After all, Xiaoqun was best at mid-range and long-range combat. If she could distance herself from Bai Wuxue and fight one-on-one, she would definitely be stronger than him. However, at this moment, Shui Lingling was in close combat, swinging her purple bow. She simply could not free herself to do so. It was already very difficult for Xiaoqun to remain undefeated against Bai Wuxue. Bai Wuxue had a relaxed expression. Snowflakes drifted around him as he stood amidst the wind and snow. He smiled faintly and said, "Shui Lingling, I admit that you are stronger than me. Unfortunately, your junior brothers are not up to standard. I advise you to give up on this true dragon remains, lest you humiliate yourself in the future." Shui Lingling showed a slightly angry expression as she thought to herself, if Xiaoqun were here, I would not be in such a passive position. Thinking of Xiaoqun, Shui Lingling immediately blamed herself. If she had not insisted on going through the true dragon storm back then, Xiaoqun would not have died in there. Xiao! Bai Wuxue's eyes lit up. He immediately caught on to the opening that Shui Lingling revealed while she was distracted. He pressed forward, and snowflakes gathered in his palm. His palm immediately turned as smooth as jade as he pressed it toward Shui Lingling at lightning speed. It was silent and contained a strong killing intent. By the time Shui Lingling reacted, it was already too late to dodge. She could only receive this palm strike head-on. The cold chi poured into Shui Lingling's body like a gust of wind. Her red lips turned pale, and a faint layer of frost covered her fine black hair. Shui Lingling vomited a mouthful of blood and quickly retreated 100 meters. Then, she quickly circulated the profound yang art, and a white mist rose from her body. Only after she expelled the cold chi from her body did her complexion improve. The wind and snow did not stop, and cold chi spread everywhere. Bai Wuxue smiled coldly and said, "Shui Lingling, to think that you would make such a low-level mistake. You really disappoint me." Bang! Suddenly, a painful cry came from below. It was the Haotian sect's Jun Si. She finally could not hold on any longer, and her weapon was knocked out of her hand by her opponent. After that, Jun Si was sent flying with a palm strike. She vomited a mouthful of blood, her face pale. The person who injured her laughed sinisterly. With a flicker, he wanted to give her the final blow. When Bai Wuxue saw this scene, he could not help but laugh loudly. He shouted coldly, "Shui Lingling, you have already suffered a crushing defeat. Are you still going to persist?" Reluctance appeared on Shui Lingling's pretty face. However, now that the situation had turned around and she no longer had any chance, she could only give up. The hearts of Hu Hai and the others were filled with despair. It was not easy for them to arrive at this burial ground, but in the end, it was all for naught. They could not obtain anything. Huff! Just at this moment, a gust of wind blew past and swept up Jun Si's body. The wind spun around and pounced toward the person who had injured her. Boom! Suddenly, a thunderous explosion resounded in the calm air, causing space to tremble. That extreme insect disciple cried out miserably. His ribs broke, and he went flying back in a sorry state, crashing into the huge true dragon remains. That extreme insect disciple's face twisted in unbearable pain. Blood flowed out of a corner of his mouth like a fountain, and a deep reluctance appeared in his eyes. The sudden appearance of a strong wind shocked everyone. They could not help but pause as they looked over. The strong wind stopped. Xiaoqun, who was riding on 3 blue dragons and executing the cloud-soaring art to its limits, slowly revealed himself. "Junior brother Xiaoqun, you are not dead." Jun Si, who was in Xiaoqun's embrace, opened her eyes wide, filled with boundless joy. Xiaoqun smiled faintly. Then, he extended his hand and sent out a gentle energy, slowly pushing Jun Si's body down. Hu Hai's and Chen Zhao's faces lit up with joy. When they saw that Xiao Chen had returned alive and that his strength had improved significantly, even injuring an extreme Yin sect disciple with one palm strike, their spirits were lifted. Only Wang Qing paled. His heart trembled as if he had seen a nightmare. He muttered, "How can this fellow not be dead?" However, Wang Cheng's opponent did not care at all. Taking advantage of Wang Cheng's state of confusion, he kicked Wang Cheng's face and sent him flying. Xiao Chen gently drifted over to Shui Lingling's side. He said, "First senior sister, leave this person to me. You go down and deal with those bugs." When Shui Lingling saw that Xiao Chen was not dead, the knot in her heart immediately loosened. A smile finally appeared on her cold face. However, when she heard Xiao Chen say that, she asked somewhat worriedly, "Can you really do it?" Xiao Chen smiled confidently. Then, he looked at Bai Wuxue and said, "Naturally, it is impossible to defeat him. However, blocking 100 moves from him will be easy." After 100 moves, Shui Lingling would definitely deal with the problem below. At that time, she would surround Bai Wuxue and defeat him without a doubt. "I believe in you." Shui Lingling smiled gently and floated down. She gently pulled back her bowstring and forced Hu Hai's opponent to retreat quickly. Bai Wuxue was expressionless as he looked coldly at Xiao Chen. He smiled in disdain and said, "I really wonder what fortuitous encounter you had to give you such confidence that you want to die so badly." Xiao Chen smiled gently and drew the lunar shadow saber with his left hand. Then, he stood on the blue dragon image and said calmly, "I will stand here. Let's see how you are going to kill me." Great Ice Palm. The snowflakes drifting in the air suddenly gathered together and formed a huge ice palm. It appeared out of nowhere and pressed towards Xiao Chen like an ice mountain. This move appeared out of nowhere and was untraceable. However, it was extraordinarily mighty. It had once reduced Xiao Chen to a sorry state. The purple clouds gathered in Xiao Chen's dantian scattered and turned into surging quintessence. They flowed through Xiao Chen's meridians like a surging river. Instantly, Xiao Chen's quintessence surged, and his clothes fluttered without any wind. He circulated all his quintessence at this moment. The immortal state of thunder and the perfect 70% comprehended saber intent all gathered together. Xiao Chen was extremely focused. A saber light flashed, and a purple bolt of lightning tore through the sky. It lit up the dark burial ground. Saber intent, state, quintessence, everything gathered on the lunar shadow saber and turned into a resplendent purple saber light surging out. Ka Xie. The light paused, and the great ice palm was chopped in half. It brushed past Xiao Chen and shattered, turning into ice shards filling the air. The residual static in the air crackled and exploded into water droplets, falling to the ground. Pointing his saber at Bai Wuxue, Xiao Chen stood on the blue dragon. His white robes fluttered, and a boundless fighting spirit filled his heart. Seeing Xiao Chen break his great ice palm so easily, Bai Wuxue's pupils constricted. He was clearly surprised. He clearly remembered that half a month ago, when Xiao Chen faced his great ice palm, he was in a sorry state. Xiao Chen had to use his trump card before he could barely block it. How could Xiao Chen improve so much in such a short time? They're fighting. They're really fighting. When the sect cultivators who had chased after Xiao Chen saw Xiao Chen pointing his saber at Bai Wuxue, they immediately cried out. There were 5 true dragon remains in the burial ground. Naturally, the place where the most intense battle took place was the one in the center, where the Thunder and Lightning Palaces and Juanxi fought against 5 fiend race loose cultivators. And Juanxi's strength was as strong as the rumors said. As electric light flashed around, he easily fought against the 5 fiend race loose cultivators. And Juanxi stood proudly on the dragon skeleton. With 1 person and 1 whip, he firmly suppressed the 5 fiend race half-sage loose cultivators, keeping them at bay. However, Juanxi had been famous for a long time already. Although such strength was shocking, it was within reason. The fight was not as exciting as the one between Xiao Chen and Bai Wuxue. The 7 giants of the Tianwu domain had not met with a proper challenger for many years. These 7 giants held noble statuses and were famous far and wide. There were rumors of them everywhere. They had stood strong for more than 10 years, and their golden reputation was deeply rooted in everyone's hearts. Originally, everyone treated Xiao Chen as a joke. However, when they saw Xiao Chen defeat Shimin Bao, Niu Dang, and Dan Tianyu, 3 experts, no one dared to think that way anymore. Chapter 723. The many cultivators who followed all focused their gazes on Xiao Chen and Bai Wuxue, clearly excited. After not seeing you for some time, you have become more capable. However, in the end, you will not be able to escape death. Bai Wuxue snorted coldly. His figure flashed, and a boundless snowflake appeared. In an instant, he arrived before Xiao Chen and sent a palm strike at Xiao Chen's head. 3 azure dragons circled around Xiao Chen as he took 3 steps back. His saber light danced around, giving off resplendent electric light. It blasted the drifting snowflakes into raindrops, which fell to the ground one by one. The other party's state of ice was extremely strong. It had already touched the boundary of the will of ice. If Xiao Chen could not use his state of thunder to neutralize it, it would severely affect his speed. When the cold qi entered the body and accumulated to a certain level, it would turn into a cold poison. At that time, he would lose even if he did not lose. Although Xiao Chen's state of thunder was weaker than his opponent's, it contained the immortal attribute. It would not crumble that easily. Bang! Bai Wuxue's palm was as smooth as jade, giving off a cold light. When it touched the saber, it gave off a cold light and instantly sealed the lunar shadow saber in ice. A frost-like white mist spread from the tip of the saber to the hilt, trying to seal Xiao Chen in ice. Xiao Chen clenched 2 fingers on his left hand. His expression did not change as he placed them on the bottom of the saber. The dense lightning-attributed quintessence turned into a lightning-attributed fire that soared upwards. The fire immediately melted the cold qi, and the hot qi scattered like a white mist. However, Bai Wuxue did not even bother to look at it. He continued forward and used his palm as a saber, hacking at Xiao Chen's head. The drifting snowflakes condensed into a line and formed a saber light that was as cold as metal. When the cold light appeared, it gave off a dazzling, snow-white light. Xiao Chen leaned back and quickly dodged, not giving Bai Wuxue a chance to get close. Xiao! Bai Wuxue's earlier saber light turned into an ice mirror. If Xiao Chen had been too fast, he would have been stuck in the ice mirror. Snowflakes drifted down, and lightning flashed everywhere. The 2 people in the air moved faster and faster, so fast that it was hard to distinguish them. He could only see 2 blurry shadows, one white and one blue. The blue shadow was cold and threatening, while the white shadow was filled with electricity. The saber qi and the palm wind clashed. Boundless energy flew in all directions and blasted deep pits on the ground. Strange, who exactly is it? Even after Bai Wuxue used his full strength, he could not land quickly. Wang Meng, who had already won, stood on a true dragon corpse, looking confused. Wang Meng was the most flamboyant of the 7 giants. Even if he met Nguan Muyun, one of the 3 holy masters, he would not back down. He asked his fellow disciples behind him, "Who is that white figure? Do any of you know?" The others scratched their heads, unable to figure it out. A younger female disciple said uncertainly, "Could it be that madman from the Haoyan sect? That person also likes to wear white. He is also a bladesman." When that female disciple finished talking about Xiao Chen, Wang Meng's expression changed slightly. An excited expression flashed in his eyes as he said, "Interesting." Unexpectedly, such a madman appeared in the Tianwu domain. Unexpectedly, Wang Meng, did not know about it. Across from Wang Meng was another of the 7 giants, Jiang Ziyuan. He had lost to Wang Meng in the fight for the true dragon corpse. At this moment, he focused his attention on the battle between Xiao Chen and Bai Wuxue. Jiang Ziyuan held a spear and revealed a contemplative expression. He smiled and said, "This person's saber intent seems to have reached 70% comprehension as well. Are you not afraid that he will surpass you?" Wang Meng carried a dragon-tooth saber on his back. He smiled and said, "Aside from Feng Xingsheng, I look down on all the bladesmen of the Tianwu domain. I can't wait for more people like him. The more, the better. My saber has not met an opponent for a long time." On another true dragon corpse, Feng Xingsheng, who defeated the scions of the Zhang clan and the Jun clan of the Tianwu domains for noble clans, entered deep thought as he watched Xiao Chen fight with Bai Wuxue. A disciple behind Feng Xingsheng said with some astonishment, "First senior brother, this white-robed bladesman really fought with Bai Wuxue. Furthermore, he did not lose." Feng Xingsheng slowly sheathed his saber and sighed softly, "Originally, I intended to challenge Bai Wuxue among the 7 giants. It looks like I will have to change to someone else this time." Back when Feng Xingsheng learned that Xiao Chen was going to fight Bai Wuxue, he had been interested in taking a look. However, he had not expected Xiao Chen to win. Now that Feng Xingsheng saw Xiao Chen's strength, it was hard to say. Given another half a year, even if Xiao Chen could not defeat Bai Wuxue, he might be able to match Bai Wuxue. If that was the case, there would be no point in challenging Bai Wuxue. The scions of the Zhang clan and the Jun clan focused their attention on this battle as well. Challenging the 7 giants was the dream of many outstanding talents of the younger generation. However, after so many years, as the 7 giants became more and more dazzling, no one had taken this step for a long time. They were all afraid of humiliating themselves and losing their reputation. Now, there was a person who was only a medial-grade martial monarch, yet he could fight with Bai Wuxue to such a degree. This was a huge blow to both of them. And Juanxi, who was currently fighting with the 5 fiend race half-sages on the skeleton in the center, also paid some attention to the battle between Xiao Chen and Bai Wuxue. And Juanxi did not think much of the 7 giants. The main reason was the immortal state of thunder that Xiao Chen used, which attracted his attention. The immortal state of thunder. If I have time, I should exchange pointers with this person. Even several sage elders of the Thunder and Lightning Palace have not comprehended the immortal state of thunder. Hu Qi. A fiend race loose cultivator wanted to take advantage of the moment and Juanxi was distracted to forcefully charge in and take him down, snatching away the most precious dragon skeleton. And Juanxi smiled coldly and flicked his wrist. The electric whip became like a berserk dragon, showing its ferocity. The other 4 loose cultivators cried out in pain. Originally, this was in Juanxi's opening. However, when the 5 worked together, one of them left the formation and immediately turned the situation around to his advantage. The fiend race loose cultivator who sneak attacked and Juanxi was startled and quickly fled. The 5 fiend race loose cultivators regrouped, no longer daring to move rashly. Dance of Snow, 100 Flowers Bloom. Bai Wuxue attacked for a long time, unable to take down Xiao Chen. Finally, he got angry and executed a heaven-ranked martial technique, wanting to take down Xiao Chen in one move. If Bai Wuxue could not take down Xiao Chen in front of so many people of the same generation, then his reputation would be ruined. Under Bai Wuxue's control, the snowflakes drifting down from the air all turned into white flower buds. The flower buds bloomed and quickly absorbed the ice-attributed spiritual energy in the surroundings. The formless ice-attributed energy seemed to turn solid at this moment. Thousands of tiny, crystalline white lights appeared in the air, reflecting the light. The light illuminated the ice flower buds, making them crystalline and beautiful. The thousands of flower buds covered the sky, preventing anyone from dodging. Bai Wuxue looked at Xiao Chen and smiled coldly. 100 flowers bloom. Bloom. Right after Bai Wuxue spoke, many crystalline ice flower buds suddenly bloomed. They were like pure and holy women revealing their charming faces and smiling faintly. The thousands of flowers bloomed. This scene was pure and beautiful. However, it contained a fatal threat. The thousands of flower petals danced around, forming a bone-chilling wind current. The ice flowers shot toward Xiao Chen. Every petal contained a formidable ice attribute true essence. These tens of thousands of ice flowers were like ice flowers. These thousands of ice flowers were like a snowstorm. As long as one landed on a person, it would result in severe internal injuries. Xiao Chen could not let the ice flowers get close to him, not even one. Xiao Chen's expression turned grave. At the crucial moment, he held his saber with his right hand and executed the upgraded version of Saber Light Thunder Shadow, Ghostly Image Chop. Saber lights danced around. In an instant, Xiao Chen sent out 72 saber lights. Each saber light quickly split into 3. Instantly, saber images containing the state of thunder filled Xiao Chen's surroundings. The saber images were densely packed, encasing him tightly without any gaps. Bang! 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 In the blink of an eye, one ice flower after another collided with the blade shadow, causing a loud sound to erupt. It was like an avalanche, dull and deep. In the spacious burial ground, the sound reverberated unceasingly, causing the entire ground to shake violently. The snowy mountains exploded, shattering like rocks for 500 kilometers. Such a scene seemed to appear before everyone's eyes. They felt like they were there. The dull sounds did not stop for even a moment. Every time an ice flower exploded, it would release horrifying ice-attributed energy. Dance of snow, hundreds of flowers bloomed. They were as magnificent as light, so beautiful that they could break one's heart. The many cultivators watching from a distance were astonished. Bai Wuxue truly lived up to his reputation as one of the 7 giants. A strong wind blew, and snowflakes fell. Xiao Chen's figure was completely hidden in the snowstorm. No one knew if he was dead or alive. It's over. This Xiao Chen will probably be severely injured even if he does not die. Bai Wuxue is getting serious. It's been so many years since I saw Bai Wuxue use a heaven-ranked martial technique. For this Xiao Chen to be able to force Bai Wuxue to this extent, it is worth it. After all, he is one of the 7 giants. Xiao Chen was too rash. He should have stopped while he was ahead. The disciples of the various sects outside the burial ground discussed the situation. They all felt deep admiration for Xiao Chen for being able to force Bai Wuxue to this extent. However, they all thought that this was as far as he could go. Jiang Ziyuan, one of the 7 giants, held his spear and smiled gently. This fellow is still a little rash. However, since he did not die and managed to survive, he is quite a character. However, Wang Meng, who was on the true dragon remains, shook his head slightly and said, "It might not be what you think." Jiang Ziyuan frowned and said, "Could there be other variables?" Bai Wuxue's dance of snow can already bring out 70% of its might. If he executed it, it would be difficult for us to deal with him. Wang Meng did not bother to argue. He smiled and said, "Keep watching and you will know." As the ice and snow flew, Bai Wuxue's expression relaxed somewhat. He was very clear on the might of his dance of snow. Bai Wuxue glanced at the battlefield below. 2 powerful people from the extreme Yin sect were currently holding back Shui Lingling. She would not be able to extricate herself for a while. Good. In that case, I will take this opportunity to end this scourge. Bai Wuxue's gaze turned cold. He made up his mind. After this move was over, he would eliminate the severely injured Xiao Chen, not leaving behind any future problems. Just at this moment, a strand of purple electric light suddenly appeared in the white world of ice and snow. Following that, the sound of surging water came from the ice and snow. Boom! The sound of water grew louder and louder. It was like a boundless ocean, vast and boundless. When it erupted, it crushed all the ice and snow into dust. Chapter 724. A purple sea appeared in front of Bai Wuxue. This was a sea made purely of electricity, sweeping away all the ice flowers. What's going on? A sea of lightning has appeared. It's Xiao Chen. That sea of lightning is a phenomenon created by Xiao Chen. He actually blocked that move. Exclamations rose one after another. Everyone's expression was slightly startled. They never expected Xiao Chen to be so powerful and unexpectedly block the attack. Jiang Ziyuan was stunned and said, "Wang Meng, you already knew." Wang Meng smiled faintly and said, "I am the same as you, unable to see through that world of ice and snow." It is only the purest feeling of a bladesman. Xiao! Suddenly, a strand of saber light shot out of the sea of lightning from somewhere. It was like a rainbow piercing through the sun, disappearing in a flash. It was so fast that no one could catch it. This elusive saber strike made Bai Wuxue feel the threat of death for some reason. At this critical moment, Bai Wuxue's rich combat experience, which he had accumulated for many years, made him feel the threat of death. Coupled with his half-saint cultivation and sharp reflexes, he quickly dodged to the side in the time it took for a spark to fly. Chi! A dim light flashed, and a few strands of hair fell from Bai Wuxue's forehead. They drifted to the ground, brushing past the Grim Reaper. Dragon subduing / Blue Dragon goes to sea. Seeing that his first move had failed, Xiaochen immediately switched to another one. His feet stepped on the blue dragon's shadow. Xiaochen suddenly braked in the air and flew past Bai Wuxue. Then, he immediately stopped. The sudden stop produced a thunderous sonic boom that exploded in everyone's eardrums. The mysterious phenomenon of a vast sea materialized behind Xiaochen. 990 dragon pillars soared into the sky, and a blue dragon leaped out of the sea. Xiaochen brandished the dragon-shaped saber Qi and used the aura of a blue dragon emerging from the sea to attack Bai Wuxue. The battle happened in a breath of time. That strand of saber light chopped off Bai Wuxue's hair and immediately turned into a dragon-shaped saber light, attacking. He did not give his opponent any chance to execute his martial technique. At the crucial moment of life and death, Bai Wuxue remained extremely calm. He brought out his half-sage cultivation to its limits. His clothes fluttered wildly, and his hair suddenly turned white. A cold light blossomed on his hands, and the radiance overflowed in all directions, dazzling and glaring. Ka! When Bai Wuxue saw the incoming saber blade, he shouted. His hands, which were glowing with a cold light, clapped down and clamped down on the saber blade. Boom! A horrifying clump of energy immediately burst out behind Bai Wuxue. 100-meter-wide pit appeared in the cave wall, turning pitch black. However, Bai Wuxue's body did not move at all in midair. He used his strong cultivation to receive Xiaochen's heaven-ranked martial technique head-on. People couldn't help but sigh at the profound cultivation and courage of the 7 tycoons. Blood leaked out of a corner of Bai Wuxue's lips as he clamped down on the saber. He looked at Xiaochen and smiled, "White-robed bladesman, you really surprised me. However, suppressing the cold qi in your body must be very painful, right?" Xiaochen's lips paled slightly. It was indeed as Bai Wuxue said. There was no way to completely dodge that dance of snow. Even though Xiaochen managed to dodge the ice flowers, the cold qi that appeared from the start had already silently entered his body. Just take care of yourself. Xiaochen's blood surged as he instantly activated the sovereign's bloodline in his body. A distant, noble, ancient, heavy, and epic sovereign's aura surged towards Bai Wuxue. With the sovereign's aura at such a close distance, Bai Wuxue could not help but take a step back. However, he quickly recovered. However, Xiaochen took advantage of this opportunity to draw the lunar shadow saber from Bai Wuxue's hand. Then, he quickly executed the second move of the dragon subduing slash. Xiaochen turned into a true dragon, and his body merged with his saber. Then, he stomped on the air, causing space to tremble endlessly. A saber light flickered like a true dragon baring its claws in rage as it flew at Bai Wuxue. Bai Wuxue's expression changed slightly. With one glance, he could tell that this move was different from the previous one. It required a martial technique. Dance of snow, 100 flowers contend. Bai Wuxue's hands formed hand seals, and the dancing snowflakes in front of him suddenly condensed into all sorts of ice flowers. There were azaleas, peonies, roses, white flowers, and hundreds of other flowers. They formed 100 flowers formation made of ice and snow. They competed with each other and formed a strange aura, firmly locking down the space. The true dragon and the 100 flowers formation clashed and gave off a loud sound. The two each took 100 steps back. For the first time, the aura of soaring dragon did not knock anyone away. Instead, It barely managed to fight evenly. The flowers withered and turned back into dancing snowflakes. The blood at the corner of Bai Wushue's lips was very eye-catching in the white snow. What kind of monster did I provoke? Unexpectedly, he even grasped the aura of a heaven-ranked martial technique. Bai Wushue stared at the pale Xiao Chen. The shock in his heart could not be described with words. Incredible. Unexpectedly, he even comprehended the aura of a heaven-ranked martial technique. The passionate young master, Murong Lingfeng, who fought to a draw with Luo Zixiao on a true dragon corpse, gently waved his folding fan. Luo Zixiao, who was holding a sword beside Murong Lingfeng, said calmly, however, his situation is not optimistic. The dance of snow contains cold poison. The cold poison that has accumulated in his body has probably reached a certain level already. Murong Lingfeng smiled faintly and said, "It's fine. Shui Lingling is already free." Bai Wushue gently wiped away the blood at the corner of his lips. Then, he looked at the pale Xiao Chen, who was clearly suffering from the cold poison. Just as Bai Wushue was about to make a move, he suddenly felt an extremely dangerous gaze on him. As long as he made any strange movements, he would immediately face death. Bai Wushue already guessed what was going on. He looked around, and it was indeed as he expected. Shui Lingling, who was on the ground, had already dealt with the few ruthless people of the extreme Yin sect. She had already drawn her purple bow, which contained immortal qi, into the shape of a full moon. An arrow made of pure profound sun true flame was knocked on the bow. Shui Lingling's purple robes fluttered as she looked at Bai Wushue coldly. Her meaning was clear without saying. Bai Wushue glanced at the extreme Yin sect true inheritors lying on the ground, firmly subdued by Hu Hai and the others. He knew that he had lost his advantage. The priceless and inestimable true dragon corpse was no longer of any use to him. Then, Bai Wushue raised his head and looked at Xiao Chen. He sighed ruefully. When he first met Xiao Chen, he had used less than 50% of his strength to force the other party to flee. When Bai Wushue heard the other party challenge him, he had treated it as a joke. He felt that it was an insult to his reputation and only wanted to kill this person casually. Bai Wushue had never truly treated Xiao Chen as an opponent. He had never felt that Xiao Chen was dangerous, so he had not taken Xiao Chen's challenge to heart. However, in a mere 2 months, Xiao Chen's strength had advanced by leaps and bounds. Bai Wushue had used close to 100% of his strength, but he had still failed to deal with Xiao Chen quickly. Instead, he had gotten injured. Now, Bai Wushue had no choice but to seriously consider this challenge. Bai Wushue withdrew his hand and scattered his state of ice. Then, he looked at Xiao Chen and said in a cold voice, "The Haotian sect Xiao Chen, as the top true inheritor of the extreme Yin sect, I ask you, are you really willing to challenge me?" Xiao Chen waved his hand and scattered his immortal state of thunder. Then, he sheathed his saber and said calmly, "I already said it long ago. I will not repeat myself." Bai Wushue narrowed his eyes and smiled coldly. "Very well. In that case, I formally accept your challenge before all the younger generation of the Tianwu domain. I'll give you 1 year. Within this 1 year, the extreme Yin sect will not send anyone to seek trouble for you." After saying that, Bai Wushue flung his sleeves and led the extreme Yin sect's true inheritors away from the burial grounds with cold expressions. Looking at Bai Wushue's departing figure, the disciples of the various sects were deep in thought. Since Bai Wushue became famous, countless people had challenged him, wanting to use him as a stepping stone for their own fame. However, without exception, all these people fell at his feet, seeking their own humiliation. Bai Wushue had accepted hundreds of challenges. However, he had never formally accepted any of them. Today, he had accepted Xiao Chen's challenge before all the younger generation of the Tianwu domain. This was truly surprising. As they looked at Xiao Chen, they all felt envious. After this, the name of the white-robed bladesman, Xiao Chen, will spread throughout the entire Tianwu domain. That goes without saying. Bai Wushue officially accepted this challenge. This is unprecedented. In the future, this battle will definitely attract everyone's attention. Strange, Bai Wuxue has met opponents before as well. However, he never acknowledged them. Could it be that Xiao Chen is really that strong? Bai Wuxue gave Xiao Chen 1 year. I wonder what he is thinking. As one of the 7 giants, he definitely has his own pride. He does not fear a true challenge. He probably did not take Xiao Chen seriously in the past. Bai Wuxue's acknowledgement of Xiao Chen's challenge was like dropping a bomb into a calm lake. It immediately incited a lot of discussion, making the place extraordinarily bustling. Xiao Chen's gaze was as calm as still water. He did not think that Bai Wuxue's acknowledgement was a big deal. Xiao Chen had always been indifferent to his reputation. He only knew that Bai Wuxue had injured him, bullied him, and humiliated him. So, he should return the favor. That was all. Xiao Chen gently drifted down and landed beside Shui Lingling. He said softly, "First senior sister, fortunately, I did not disappoint you. I managed to block a few moves from Bai Wuxue." Shui Lingling smiled and said, "Don't say anything first. I'll use the profound Sun True Flame to help you purge the cold poison in your body." Bai Wuxue's cold poison had already entered Xiao Chen's body. However, it was not as severe as others guessed. Xiao Chen's physical body had already reached rank 1 sage body. His skin, blood, bones, and meridians had all been tempered several times. It was extremely difficult for the cold poison to break through the layers of defense and enter his internal organs. Furthermore, Xiao Chen cultivated lightning-attributed quintessence, which was somewhat effective against this cold poison. As long as Xiao Chen did not continue fighting and did not purposely treat himself, the cold poison would slowly be purged over time. Xiao Chen was aware of his own situation. However, since Shui Lingling wanted to help, it would be unreasonable of him to reject her. So, he allowed Shui Lingling to send a clump of gentle profound Sun True Flame into his body. Qi! Qi! The profound Sun True Flame circulated through Xiao Chen's body and easily purged all the cold poison. The process was so smooth that it shocked Shui Lingling. After the cold poison left his body, Xiao Chen's somewhat unsightly expression immediately recovered its luster, and he became spirited. Shui Lingling withdrew her hand and smiled. "Your physical body is really terrifyingly strong. I wonder, if you are a half-sage, who in the younger generation of the Tianwu domain can stop you?" Chapter 725. When Xiao Chen heard this, he smiled faintly. However, he looked at the true dragon remains in the center without any pride in his eyes. The 5 fiend race loose cultivators there had already revealed their fiend forms. However, Enjuanshi still held the initiative. He stood on the head of the massive true dragon skeleton and lashed out with a lightning whip, beating the 5 fiend race loose cultivators into submission. "Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's split this true dragon remains. Hopefully, we will be lucky enough to find a few drops of dragon marrow." Shui Lingling smiled as she called everyone over. The others had already gone far away, but Xiao Chen did not move. Everyone could not help but look at him strangely, not knowing what Xiao Chen wanted to do. "This person, he is not qualified to split the true dragon remains," Xiao Chen said calmly and coldly as he looked at Wang Qing expressionlessly. When Hu Hai and the others heard this, their expressions changed. They felt very confused. Xiao Chen's words were rather hurtful, not in line with his character at all. Sweat appeared on Wang Cheng's forehead as his heart trembled. What should have happened had finally happened. Xiao Chen really did not intend to let him off. When Wang Cheng saw Xiao Chen return and the strength he displayed, he had already anticipated his ending. However, now that it really happened, he could not help but feel extremely nervous. Chen Xiao said, "Junior brother Xiao Chen, although Wang Cheng said some unpleasant things and was somewhat disrespectful to you, we are all from the same sect. There is no need to be so ruthless." Shui Lingling's gaze wandered around. When she saw the pale and trembling Wang Cheng, she felt that something was wrong. She frowned and said, "Don't say anything first. Let Xiao Chen finish." Xiao Chen's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he stared at Wang Cheng. Then, he enunciated every word clearly. Back in the true dragon storm, I did not fall down by accident. Instead, he sneak attacked and kicked me down. Buzz! Right after Xiao Chen said that, everyone's minds buzzed. They could not believe that what Xiao Chen said was true. Jun Si's pretty face turned cold. She immediately said angrily, Wang Cheng, is what junior brother Xiao Chen said true? Hu Hai remained silent. He looked at Wang Cheng helplessly. Given Hu Hai's understanding of Xiao Chen's character, there was no need to accuse Wang Cheng. Furthermore, when Xiao Chen fell into the true dragon storm, it was indeed very strange. Even Jun Si, the weakest among them, had not been pulled out. How could Xiao Chen have been pulled out by the storm? However, despite their suspicions, no one thought that it was Wang Cheng. No matter what, they were Wang Cheng. They were Xiao Chen. Wang Cheng glanced at Shui Lingling's expression. Shui Lingling's murderous aura was restrained, without the slightest trace of emotion. The last trace of hope in his heart was completely dashed. Now, there was Shui, Wang, Xiao Lingling Xiao No. And he, Shui, Ling, Xiao Chen Tian, Chen, Xiao, and Ling Xiao Chen of Chen Xiao. And Ling. Run. Wang Cheng could not be bothered with Jun Si's question. Without saying anything else, he turned and ran. Only by leaving this place could he survive. Given Wang Cheng's movement technique, as long as Shui Lingling did not make a move, he would not be able to catch up to him in this chaotic burial ground. If the others wanted to catch up to him, they would have to put in a lot of effort, including Xiao Chen. Boom! However, Wang Cheng underestimated the rage in Shui Lingling's heart. He had only moved 200 meters when a fiery light flashed like a meteor. Then, Wang Cheng's head exploded into a pool of scarlet light. Shui Lingling gently put down the bow in her hand. She had a complicated expression as she sighed. Originally, I prepared the flowing light arrow to deal with Bai Wuxue. Unexpectedly, I used it on my own people. Wang Cheng's headless corpse slowly fell over. When the people in the surroundings saw this scene, they were startled, not knowing what happened. How strange. Shui Lingling would actually attack her own people, Murong Lingfeng said suspiciously as he jumped down from the true dragon's remains. Luo Zixiao, who fought Xiao Chen to a draw, said indifferently, the internal affairs of the Haoyan sect have nothing to do with us. Let's see if this true dragon remains have dragon marrow first. If there is, this trip will be worth it. Murong Lingfeng counted the vertebrae of the true dragon remains one by one. When he reached the 9th vertebrae, he stopped. Ha ha! I advise you not to get your hopes up. These are all secondary dragons. The chances of them having dragon marrow are not high. The one that Juanxi is fighting for is the one with the highest chance. Murong Lingfeng said calmly as he removed the 9th vertebra with a faint smile. Among the true dragons, there were also ranks. Generally speaking, a true dragon cave would only have one master, and the rest would be its subordinates. Clearly, in this burial ground, the largest true dragon skeleton under Juanxi's feet was the true master of this place. The chances of this true dragon skeleton containing dragon marrow were also the highest. Otherwise, the loose cultivators of the fiend race would not have worked together to make a move. Nor would Juanxi be so interested. Naturally, Luo Zixiao understood this as well. He walked forward with his sword in hand and gently stroked the true dragon's skeleton. Then, he said indifferently, it doesn't matter. Along the way, the spirit fruits, herbs, and rare ores I picked are enough. Just treat it as a pleasant surprise if there is dragon marrow. It is not a loss even if there is none. Murong Lingfeng held the segment of true dragon skeleton and shook it up and down. However, the bone was empty, there was no sound at all. He could not help but feel disappointed. If there was dragon marrow in it, when he shook it gently, the dragon marrow would flow. It would give off a resonant and vast true dragon roar, resounding throughout the world, extremely shocking. Clearly, there was nothing in this true dragon skeleton. However, this true dragon skeleton was already very valuable. Even if they split it evenly, they would not lose out. Be it exchanging it for resources, selling it for spirit stones, forging bone weapons, or refining medicinal pills, it would be very useful. On the other side, Wang Meng held the 9th vertebra of the true dragon skeleton as he looked at the white-robed Xiao Chen. However, he did not make a move. Jiang Ziyuan, who was at the side, frowned slightly. He said unhappily, "Wang Meng, are you afraid that I will try to snatch it if there is dragon marrow? Why are you not testing it yet?" Wang Meng recovered his wits. However, he ignored Jiang Ziyuan's words. His gaze turned grave as he muttered, "So, it is him. That white-robed brat who snatched my half-drop of dragon marrow. It looks like I have to negotiate with Shui Lingling later." When Jiang Ziyuan saw the situation, he could not help but repeat what he said. He did not mean anything else, he just wanted to see whether there was dragon marrow or not. If there was, he could use resources to exchange for it with Wang Meng. Physical defense had always been Xiao Chen's weakness. He really needed the help of dragon marrow. Wang Meng laughed loudly and casually tossed the vertebra over. He said, "In that case, do it yourself." "Why would I, Wang Meng, be afraid of you playing any tricks?" Jiang Ziyuan could not be bothered to say more. He caught the vertebra and shook it. It was empty, there was no sound at all. Xiao Chen could not help but reveal an expression of extreme disappointment. He looked at the huge skeleton in the center, wherein Juanxi and the fiend race loose cultivators were still fighting. "It looks like only that set of dragon bones will have dragon marrow," Jiang Ziyuan said calmly. Wang Meng's lips curled up slightly. He said, "That might not be the case. However, even if there is, you would not be able to exchange for it. And Juanxi wants to use the entire vertebra to forge the true dragon lightning whip. Taking out the dragon marrow would destroy the integrity of the whip." Jiang Ziyuan sighed slightly and said, "I know that as well. However, Juanxi is becoming increasingly stronger. He will probably comprehend the will of thunder soon. At that time, he will be able to face the 3 holy scions head-on." Wang Meng said sullenly, "It is not that soon. He has already comprehended it. The problem now is how much of the will of thunder he has comprehended." When Jiang Ziyuan heard this news, his body paused visibly. He asked, "How do you know? Have you fought with him before?" Wang Meng's expression slowly turned grave. He nodded gently and said, "Do you think I am the kind of person who would give up the title of the strongest of the 7 giants so easily? I fought him once 3 years ago and lost within 100 moves. I fought him again 2 years ago and lost within 100 moves. I fought him again 1 year ago and lost within 10 moves." Defeating Wang Meng in 10 moves, Jiang Ziyuan could not help but reveal deep shock in his eyes. He said, "Their cultivation and martial techniques are about the same. There is only one explanation for losing so quickly." Wang Meng casually waved his hand and put away the entire set of true dragon remains. Then, he looked at the set of remains in the middle and said, "Just wait and see. In the next Sage War of the Proud Son of Heaven ranking, the top 3 positions will probably change." Before the anticipating gazes of his many junior brothers and sisters, Feng Xingsheng gently shook the 9th segment of the true dragon bone. In the end, it was still empty, there was no sound at all. Aside from the one in the middle, 3 of the remaining 4 sets of true dragon bones did not have dragon marrow. The rarity of dragon marrow was evident once again. A true dragon cave would not be exposed at any time. Even if it was exposed, most of the dragon bones would not have dragon marrow. It was even possible for the entire true dragon cave to not have dragon marrow. "First senior sister, don't touch this segment first." Shui Lingling had already removed the 9th segment of the true dragon bone. However, Xiao Chen stopped Shui Lingling from doing so. The blue dragon martial spirit in Xiao Chen's body had recondensed. He had a strange connection to this true dragon bone. His spiritual sense and mental energy could not see through this true dragon bone. However, Xiao Chen had a hunch that this segment of the true dragon bone might contain dragon marrow. Once it was exposed, it would definitely attract attention from many places. At that time, there would be endless trouble. Shui Lingling was stunned for a while, but she still obeyed. Then, she handed the true dragon bone to Xiao Chen for safekeeping. As for the remaining true dragon bones, Shui Lingling divided them according to their individual strengths. Xiao Chen and Xiao Chen each took 40%, and the remaining 20% was divided equally among Hu Hai and the other two. No one objected to such a division. Without Xiao Chen and Shui Lingling, it would be impossible for the others to obtain even one segment of the true dragon bone. Boom! Suddenly, an extremely resonant divine thunder resounded. That thunder imprinted itself in everyone's sea of consciousness, reverberating endlessly and causing their seas of consciousness to churn endlessly. There was clearly only one thunder, but it resounded endlessly in everyone's minds. It was like they were in a sea of lightning. Everyone felt like bolts of lightning were circling them. The sky changed color, and the winds and clouds churned. It felt like the heavenly might of the lightning could shatter their souls at any moment. Xiao Chen stabilized his mind. His surging mental energy instantly allowed him to extricate himself from the illusion. Chapter 726. After that, the other 7 giants woke up from the illusions one after another. When they looked at the owner of the shocking thunder, they all appeared somewhat dazed. Shui Lingling frowned slightly and muttered to herself, "Will of thunder." And Juanxi really comprehended the will of thunder. Xiao Chen frowned and entered deep thought. The might of a will was truly terrifying. It could even intimidate a cultivator's soul. If Juanxi really made a move, even if everyone here worked together, they would not be a match for him. He had already left the others far behind. If they could not comprehend a will as well, then even if they were half-sages, they would be like ants before him. And Juanxi's lightning whip flickered with a silver electric light. The whip looked like a dignified, silver holy dragon as it swept out. The whip knocked the 5 fiend race loose cultivators, who had revealed their true forms, into the air. Their fiend bodies trembled in the air. After they landed, they reverted to human form. Strands of black smoke came out of their bodies, making them look very miserable. "Why are you still not scramming?" And Juanxi shouted as he stood on the dragon's head. He had a stern expression as he held the silver lightning whip. After exposing the will of thunder, Juanxi was not in a good mood. He did not show any politeness when he spoke. If these 5 fiend race loose cultivators dared to continue pestering him, he could only kill them. The 5 half-sage fiend race loose cultivators trembled as they climbed to their feet. Their eyes revealed deep fear as they headed out of the burial ground without looking back. When Juanxi landed on the ground, he casually swung his whip and shattered the huge true dragon skeleton, leaving only the 9 segments of its spine intact. As the skeleton shattered, the entire burial ground shook violently. Rocks continuously fell from above, rumbling as they fell. "Quick, let's go. This place is going to collapse. If we do not go out, we will be buried forever." Shui Lingling's expression changed slightly. Then, she led Xiao Chen and the others towards the exit. The cave collapsed, and huge rocks fell from the sky. The entire place turned chaotic. Fortunately, the cultivators who came here all had high cultivations. In such a crisis, other than some extremely unlucky cultivators who could not circulate their quintessence in time and got crushed by the rocks, most would be fine. After exiting the cave, the ground behind Xiao Chen and the others collapsed. Accompanied by a rumbling sound, the true dragon cave was completely covered in dust and turned into ruins. He could no longer continue searching, and it would be impossible for him to continue trying his luck here in the future. Several cultivators stood in front of the rubble, unwilling to leave for a long time. Some people obtained heavenly treasures and mystical resources that they wanted. It could be said that they had obtained their own fortuitous encounter. There were also people who paid with their lives here, turning into the earth, falling just like that, dying on the path of martial arts that was filled with difficulties. Shui Lingling sighed gently and said, "Let's go. The demonic barrier around the savage battlefield will recover after a while. At that time, it will be difficult to leave. The crowd slowly dispersed. At Xiao Chen's suggestion, Shui Lingling took an extremely desolate path. 1 hour later, after scanning the area with his spiritual sense several times and confirming that there was no one within 5 kilometers, Xiao Chen took out the dragon bone. Jun Si smiled gently and said, "Junior brother Xiao Chen, you are so cautious. Could it be that there is really dragon marrow in this dragon bone?" The others looked at Xiao Chen curiously as well. They did not understand why Xiao Chen was so insistent. After all, the chances of dragon marrow appearing were extremely low. This was especially so for a subordinate dragon, it was practically impossible. Previously, when Wang Meng and the others checked for dragon bones in front of so many people, they had not held much hope. If they were sure that there was dragon marrow, they would not have shown it to so many people, seeking trouble for themselves. Xiao Chen smiled faintly as he held the true dragon's 9th vertebra with his right hand. He said, "That is hard to say. Perhaps a miracle will happen." Drip. As Xiao Chen held the dragon bone, he shook it gently. The crisp sound of liquid sloshing came from the dragon bone. The 4, including Shui Lingling, all showed astonished expressions. They even suspected that they were hallucinating. Roar! Before they could question it, the crisp sound of liquid sloshing suddenly turned into a resonant dragon roar. That dragon roar contained a boundless dragon might. True dragons had long since disappeared, and the ones that still existed in the world were only some drakes. Even the draconic might of the most powerful draconic dragons was worlds apart from this. This was the purest true dragon might. The instant the dragon roar appeared, aside from Xiao Chen and Shui Lingling, the other 3 were immediately sent flying. Right after the dragon roar sounded, another dragon roar followed. This time, Hu Hai and the other 2 could no longer hold on. They all vomited a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground, trembling. Even Shui Lingling had a somewhat grave expression. She shuffled her feet slightly. After the dragon might dispersed, Shui Lingling walked over joyfully. She said, 2 dragon roars. There are 2 drops of dragon marrow in there. Xiao Chen, how did you discover it? The others walked over with pale complexions. Their eyes were still filled with disbelief. Hu Hai muttered, 2 drops of dragon marrow. If Wang Meng and the others knew about such a harvest, I wonder how jealous they would be. The value of 1 drop of dragon marrow was sufficient to offset all the precious spirit fruits and ores that those people had collected along the way. 2 drops of spirit stones completely surpassed the gains of the others. This was especially so for the genius cultivators who came here specifically for the dragon marrow. This was a fatal temptation. To them, if they could not obtain the dragon marrow, no matter how many treasures they collected, it would be useless. 5 kilometers away, Wang Meng's body paused for a moment. A strange look flashed in his eyes as he carefully sensed the faint fluctuations in the air. After a while, Wang Meng's eyes lit up. His lips curled up in a smile as he said, "It's dragon marrow." What a coincidence! After Wang Meng recognized Xiao Chen, he wanted to end his relationship with Xiao Chen. He did not want to lose half a drop of dragon marrow for nothing. However, when Wang Meng followed Xiao Chen, he quickly sensed a spiritual sense that was much stronger than mental energy. Wang Meng was very knowledgeable. The first possibility that came to his mind was that Shui Lingling had obtained a rather powerful mental energy martial technique. After Xiao Chen dodged once, he chose to follow far behind the group of people. Back to where Xiao Chen and the others were, Hu Hai and the others rejoiced at first. However, they quickly calmed down. No matter what, the 2 drops of dragon marrow would not end up in their hands. First senior sister, we will not split this dragon marrow. You and junior brother Xiao Chen can have a drop each, Hu Hai and the others said calmly. Shui Lingling nodded and said, all right. I will compensate you with some medial-grade spirit-gathering pearls later. However, I have no use for this drop of dragon marrow. Xiao Chen looked at Shui Lingling suspiciously. Since there were 2 drops of dragon marrow, he definitely had to give one away. He did not know why Shui Lingling did not want it. Dragon marrow mainly strengthens a cultivator's physical body's defense. 1 drop of dragon marrow can raise my defense by about 20%. Shui Lingling carried the purple bough on her back and stroked the hair on her forehead. She chuckled and said, however, I mainly cultivate archery and movement techniques. The dragon marrow is not very useful to me, so I might as well help you, junior martial brother. In the future, you have to take out a natural treasure of equal value to the dragon marrow and return it to me. Xiao Chen never liked to put on airs. The dragon marrow was indeed very useful to him. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, many thanks, senior sister. Xiao Chen will remember this favor. Just as Shui Lingling was about to say something, she frowned slightly on her pretty face. She looked up and said, someone is coming. The group turned their heads and saw a dim light shooting through the air, looking like a beam of light rushing over. This person did not hide his strong aura at all. Before he even got close, a strong wind blew, kicking up sand and rocks. Xiao Chen and the others could not help but close their eyes. When the strong wind dissipated, the arrogant and tyrannical Wang Meng carrying the dragon-toothed saber on his back appeared before the group with a smile on his face. Shui Lingling, congratulations to your Haotian sect. You have gained another proud disciple. Wang Meng casually drew his dragon-toothed saber and placed both hands on its hilt as he stood upright on the ground. Of the 7 giants, Wang Meng had the most arrogant temper. He never hid it, so his relationships with others were poor. Shui Lingling could not be bothered to speak nonsense with him. She removed the purple bough with her right hand and said coldly, you are here for the dragon marrow, right? I really do not know where you get your confidence to appear before me in such an open space. Wang Meng, who had fought alongside Shui Lingling in the Bushan Palace, knew better than others how mighty the bough in Shui Lingling's hand was. Many cultivators of the foreign races and demonic world experts had died to this bough. Wang Meng looked at Xiao Chen with some fear and smiled faintly. Then, he pointed at Xiao Chen and said, I am here to look for him, not to cause trouble for you. You should know that he won half a drop of dragon marrow from me, right? Xiao Chen smiled bitterly to himself. He knew that half a drop of dragon marrow would not be that easy to obtain. Trouble finally came looking for him. Shui Lingling narrowed her eyes and said coldly, you can't look for him either. As for the matter of the half a drop of dragon marrow, if you want to look for it, go look for Nguyen. What is so great about looking for my junior brother? Wang Meng had not expected Shui Lingling to be so unyielding. His gaze turned cold, and he released an indistinct killing chi. He said, no matter what you think, we have to settle this grudge. Otherwise, I will not be able to calm down. Bai Wuxue gave him 1 year. I will not bully the weak. As long as he can receive 1 move from me, this matter will be settled. If he does not want to receive it, that is fine. In that case, give me 1 drop of dragon marrow to end this matter. Otherwise, Shui Lingling did not show any fear. Her gentle and pretty face was covered in frost, and her killing chi had not been released yet. She asked indifferently, otherwise what? Wang Meng smiled coldly and said, otherwise, he might not be able to live past 1 year, unless he stays in the Haotian sect and does not come out. Good. In that case, I will kill you now. Earlier, when Bai Wuxue threatened Shui Lingling in the cave, she had already been suppressing her anger. Now that she was in such an open area, she was in danger from Wang Meng. Shui Lingling could no longer hold back her rage. She did not say anything more and unleashed all her killing chi. Her purple robes fluttered, and her fine black hair fluttered in the wind. Then, she suddenly released the bowstring in her right hand. A fiery light flickered like a meteor, illuminating the dark space of the savage battlefield. In the blink of an eye, it arrived before Wang Meng. The fiery light illuminated the sky. The light disappeared in a flash, and the dark space returned to normal. Chapter 727. No one could describe how fast that arrow was. If it wasn't for the shock brought by the strong light to the eyes, it was very likely that they would think that it was just an illusion. Although Wang Meng's gaze wandered, it never left Shui Lingling's right hand, which was drawing the bowstring. Before Shui Lingling let go, Wang Meng had already dodged. The instant the light vanished, Wang Meng had already retreated 100 meters. A finger-sized hole appeared where he originally stood. It was dark and deep, and no one knew how deep it was. The entire place was calm, except for the sound of the wind. The air froze and lingered for a long time, looking very strange. Hu Hai and the other two knew Shui Lingling's strength. The instant she released the arrow, they immediately retreated. Xiao Chen followed suit, following his instincts. Bang! Indeed, everything that happened earlier was just the calm before the storm. The profound yang arrow, which had penetrated an unknown distance into the ground, suddenly exploded. The flat ground suddenly cracked, and the crack extended for a kilometer. Countless pieces of mud splattered in all directions like fairies scattering their wings. Rumble. The ground trembled, and mud poured down like a torrential rain. When one looked up, they saw many huge pieces of mud the size of small hills. Supported by the shock waves, the mud floated up into the sky. The scene was very chaotic, spectacular, and shocking. First Senior Sister is really angry. In the cave, First Senior Sister could not bring out her strength at all. Now that she is in such an open space, she has nothing to worry about. Hu Hai and the other two were flabbergasted. They had not seen Shui Lingling this angry in a long time. Whoosh! 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 Mud and rocks flew everywhere. Wang Meng held his dragon-toothed saber in the chaotic sky as he calmly leaped from one huge rock to another, approaching Shui Lingling. Her fine black hair fluttered like a waterfall. Shui Lingling's gentle face turned cold. Her purple robes fluttered, and killing qi radiated from her body. Xiao Chen drew back the bowstring and let go. 3 beams of fire each flew out in arcs. Her movements were as smooth as flowing water, direct and efficient, without any pause. Bang! The 3 streams of flames shattered a huge rock under Wang Meng's feet. The flowing light turned into a blazing flame that swept out. Wang Meng's body swayed in the air like a kite. Shui Lingling pushed off the ground with her toes and her graceful figure quickly jumped up from the ground. She pulled the bowstring and a stream of fire shot out. The red light shone in the dusky space, like fireworks blooming, the light never extinguishing, never extinguishing. Amidst the boundless flames, Wang Meng's agile body could be seen weaving through the arrows, trying to get closer to Shui Lingling. However, the terrain here was wide and flat, stretching out endlessly. Her fine black hair fluttered in the wind. That graceful purple figure was like a fairy, nimbly leaping about. She did not give Wang Meng any chance to get close at all. Instead, she forced Wang Meng to deal with her. The direction in which Shui Lingling shot her arrows was very particular. Her figure jumped and formed a huge circle. In the end, the radius of the circle continued to shrink, and the space that Wang Meng could dodge to was getting smaller and smaller. The situation did not look good for Wang Meng. Although the arrows did not hit Wang Meng, the shockwaves from the explosion of the flowing light drained his protective quintessence. The arrows were like light, flickering and disappearing. They were extremely fast, making everyone tense up at all times. They did not dare to relax at all, putting immense mental pressure on them. Damn it! To think that I'm fighting with Shui Lingling on a plane. It looks like I really went crazy. Wang Meng could not help cursing in a low voice when he dodged an arrow. However, the shockwaves sent him flying. After thinking for a while, Wang Meng gave up on his original plan. He charged out of Shui Lingling's formless encirclement and flew back. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen gave up on his original plan. He charged out of Shui Lingling's formless encirclement and flew back. Shui Lingling held up her bow and gave chase. As the flowing light shot out, a 1,000-meter-long pit occasionally appeared on the flat ground, flabbergasting everyone. The 2 of them disappeared from Hu Hai's and the other's sight for a long time. However, they could still occasionally hear loud explosions coming from the distance. Xiao Chen looked into the distance for a long time before withdrawing his gaze. He said, "There is no need to chase so far, right?" A smile flashed on Jun Ci's face. She said softly, "First senior sister, this is to help you deal with this problem." Wang Meng has always been insolent. He is the kind of person who will vent his anger. If you only chase him away, he will come and seek trouble for you sooner or later. You have to make him back off. Hu Hai said, "Let's go as well." The direction that Wang Meng fled in is also the exit of the savage battlefield. The group followed the battle marks that Shui Lingling left behind and quickly gave chase. Who would have imagined that they would walk for 3 days and 3 nights? Explosions and flares occasionally rang out in front. After chasing for 3 days, Shui Lingling still did not give up. Wang Meng was in a miserable state as well. There were many cultivators outside the exit of the savage battlefield. These people did not have the strength to enter on their own, but their fellow sect members or friends did. Hence, they waited here for news, hoping that the people they knew would return safely. Move aside. Move aside. On this particular day, a loud sound suddenly came from the exit. A man in tattered clothes and covered in dirt, looking like a beggar, rushed out in a hurry while holding a dragon-toothed saber. Holding a dragon-toothed saber, he rushed out from inside and shouted at the people blocking his way. A strong aura spread out from his body, forcing everyone to move aside. Who is this person? He is so strong, but why is he in such a sorry state? That person's hair was charred black, and his face was covered in dirt. His appearance could not be seen clearly, which confused the others. Only when someone recognized the signature dragon-toothed saber did they exclaim in shock, "That is Wang Meng, the most arrogant of the 7 giants. Who is so powerful to be able to force him into such a state?" It was like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's gazes were immediately drawn over. Wang Meng's clothes were tattered, his hair was charred, his face was covered in dirt, and his body was covered in wounds. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked dispirited. He looked like a refugee. Whoosh! 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 Just as everyone was shocked, 9 resplendent meteor-like fiery lights shot out from the entrance. Each strand of fiery light was an arrow made of profound yang true flame. They were so dazzling that no one dared to look at them directly. Wang Meng, who was running forward, sensed the 9 swift fiery lights behind him. His eyes were filled with an extremely impatient expression. He seemed to be quite resentful, but there was nothing he could do. Wang Meng grasped the dragon-toothed saber tightly and quickly turned around. Saber lights danced, and the dragon-toothed saber seemed to come to life as he swung it 9 times. Every time Wang Meng swung the saber, the arrow would explode. The huge impact blasted a horrifying deep pit in the ground. Shock waves surged and kicked up a lot of dust. After 9 loud explosions, the place where Wang Meng stood was already covered in dust. Thick smoke and dust filled the air. A series of coughs could be clearly heard coming from inside. "Shui Lingling, you are really ruthless. You chased me for 3 days and 3 nights. I have had enough. As for the matter of the half-drop of dragon marrow, I will not seek trouble for that brat anymore. Can you stop now?" Wang Meng roared with all his might amidst the surging dust cloud. Shui Lingling floated down from the air, holding her purple bow. A gentle expression appeared on her frosty face. She smiled gently and said, "Wouldn't it have been fine if you had said so earlier? Why did you have to seek trouble for yourself?" When the dust cloud settled, Wang Meng looked at Shui Lingling, who was still in high spirits. She looked like she had no problem chasing him for 3 days and 3 nights. Wang Meng glared hatefully at Xiao Chen and quickly left. This time, he had shown weakness in front of so many people. He had completely lost face. So, he was targeted by Shui Lingling in the plains. Wang Meng deserves to be unlucky. After Shui Lingling pulled away, even in Juanxi, one of the 7 giants, would have a hard time dealing with him. After Shui Lingling appeared, the others finally understood. They felt that Wang Meng's encounter was reasonable and there was nothing to be surprised about. After another 4 hours, Xiao Chen's group of 4 arrived with fatigued expressions. When they saw Shui Lingling's figure, they heaved a sigh of relief. For the past 3 days, they had chased relentlessly without any rest. They were indeed very tired. If even they were in such a state, it was easy to imagine how Wang Meng, who was constantly in danger, had endured the past 3 days. Wang Meng's matter allowed Xiao Chen to see another side of Shui Lingling. He could not help but sigh ruefully. Sometimes, when a woman became ruthless, no matter how arrogant or domineering you were, you would have to lower your head and show weakness. Honestly speaking, Xiao Chen did not feel that there was anything wrong with Wang Meng's suggestion. Ending all grudges with one saber strike was something he could accept. Only after Shui Lingling explained did Xiao Chen understand. Of the 7 giants, Wang Meng's explosive power in close combat was the most horrifying. Xiao Chen was not like Bai Wuxue, whose state of ice paid particular attention to the aftermath, using cold qi to kill without anyone realizing it. Xiao Chen's horrifying explosive power could take someone's life in one move. This matter was just an interlude. It did not disrupt the group's journey. The group of people on the profound sun bird continued on their way back to the Haotian sect. Since there was nothing to do along the way, Shui Lingling and the others could not help but ask about what happened after Xiao Chen was swept away by the true dragon storm. How did his strength improve so rapidly in just half a month? Naturally, Xiao Chen could not speak of the matter of the Blue Dragon Palace. He hid it, only saying that he found a peak-grade earth essence fruit and refined his quintessence twice. Right, that makes sense. In history, the cultivators who succeeded in refining their quintessence twice would usually erupt with horrifying combat prowess above their cultivation. After Shui Lingling heard everything, she analyzed seriously. Furthermore, with your physical body's strength and your accumulations, you can shock the world with one brilliant feat. Out of curiosity, Jun Si asked, "First senior sister, according to what you said, Xiao Chen will be able to defeat Bai Wuxue easily in 1 year." Shui Lingling pondered this. Then, she shook her head slightly and said, "It is hard to say. For a cultivator's life, 1 year is too short. However, this is a special era. Too many things can happen in 1 year." Hu Hai and the others exchanged glances. Then, they asked doubtfully, "What special era?" "The Age of Geniuses?" Shui Lingling nodded and said, "That's right. The next year will be the most crucial year. You spend most of your time in the Haotian sect and do not have enough contacts. This is the information I obtained from Bushan Palace." Chapter 728. Be it the geniuses from the lower realms or the young experts of the Tianwu domain, there are several people who are even more talented than Xiao Chen. However, they lack accumulations, so they did not come to the savage battlefield. A strange look flashed in the eyes of Hu Hai and the other two. They found this somewhat incredible. It would be hard to find 10 heaven-defying people like Xiao Chen in the Tianwu domain in 100 years. However, Shui Lingling said that there were several geniuses who were even stronger than Xiao Chen. This was too shocking. Shui Lingling continued, "There is an insurmountable bottleneck between half-sage and martial sage. Relying on treasures like spirit-gathering pearls will not have any effect. One can only rely on one's own comprehension and experience. Within 1 year, if the so-called 7 giants of the Tianwu domain do not improve, at least half of them will be defeated by the newcomers." Xiao Chen entered deep thought. Shui Lingling's words might be a little exaggerated, but they should be true. The savage battlefield was just the start of a great era. After this, there would be an endless stream of newcomers. Half a month later, the Haotian city appeared in the distance. After a long time, Xiao Chen saw the familiar city walls and people again. This made him feel like he had returned home. He did not need to think about anything and could rest properly. Before everyone went their separate ways, Shui Lingling asked Xiao Chen to stay behind. She said, "Junior brother Xiao Chen, do you have any plans for the future? If you are willing, I can make you a true inheritor." True inheritor was a status that many people in the Haotian sect dreamed of. Once one became one, not only would one be able to practice the heaven-ranked cultivation techniques of the Haotian sect, but they would also obtain all sorts of resources and more freedom. If one's strength was outstanding, the sect would even send them to the Bushin Palace to interact with the elites of the entire Tianwu domain. They would compete with the cultivators of the other races and experience the even more majestic Kunlun Great World. Shui Lingling continued, "As long as you are willing, I can immediately bring you to the central province's Bushin Palace. That is the center of the Tianwu domain, where all the elites of the human race gather. While you are there, your strength will increase even faster. 1 year later, your chances of defeating Bai Wuxue will be even greater." There were many benefits to becoming a true inheritor. One could imagine the benefits one would receive if they entered the Bushin Palace. However, everything had a price. Once he accepted it, he would definitely have to bear some responsibilities or obligations. Xiao Chen was a free person and didn't like to be restricted. Moreover, he had promised Ao Jiao that he would go to a place. There was a conflict of time between the two, and there was no way to reconcile. He could only decline Shui Lingling's invitation. Shui Lingling smiled warmly and said, "All right, I won't force you. If you need anything, you can come to me at any time. I'll be in the Haotian sect for the next month. Farewell." Xiao Chen cupped his hands and left. As Shui Lingling watched Xiao Chen leave, she revealed a contemplative expression on her gentle and pretty face. She muttered, "Perhaps only the sect master can convince him." When Xiao Chen returned to his courtyard, he did not do anything. First, he took a hot bath, completely relaxing his body and mind, which had been tense for the past few days. Then, he made a table full of dishes and had a good meal. After everything was done, he went back to his room. After everything was done, Xiao Chen slowly organized the treasures that he had not used in time. Naturally, the first was the dragon mark fruit, which could increase one's vital qi by 150 tons of force. However, Xiao Chen had some doubts about the medicinal energy of this dragon mark fruit. Right now, his physical body was already a rank 1 sage body. Whether it could increase 150 tons of force of vital qi was still a big question mark. Xiao Chen estimated that he could increase his vital qi by 50 tons of force at most, and that would already be pretty good. Naturally, the second item was the dragon bones containing the 2 drops of dragon marrow. Dragon marrow was good stuff. After Xiao Chen consumed half a drop of dragon marrow, he could clearly feel the changes in his bones. During the battle, Xiao Chen had experienced it firsthand. Bai Wuxue's cold poison had not seeped into his internal organs. This had a lot to do with the dragon bones that had been modified by the dragon marrow. The 2 drops of dragon marrow could strengthen Xiao Chen's bones further improving his defense. It might even undergo a complete transformation. The third item was the Dragon Tone Art, a soundwave-type martial technique that countered the deity race's mental energy martial techniques. In the future, when Xiao Chen left the Tianwu domain, he would definitely be able to use it. As for the last item, it was that mysterious painting of the Qing Emperor. This item was too strange. Even until now, Xiao Chen did not have the courage to open it again. That incomparably realistic feeling of death was not a good feeling. However, the exquisite drawing the saber of the person in the painting had an incredible allure. One could not help but want to take a look. This was simply too contradictory. Aside from this, there was a large pile of true dragon bones in the ring. However, those things could only be used to exchange for resources. Xiao Chen had no use for them. The 4 treasures were placed before Xiao Chen. He had indeed gained a lot from this trip to the savage battlefield. Not only had his strength soared, surpassing his expectations, but his gains were also gratifying. Fortuitous encounters. No wonder the cultivators of the world loved fortuitous encounters so much. Even at the risk of death, they still rushed forward. Xiao Chen held the dragon mark fruit in his hand and thought for a while. In the end, he gave up on consuming it. The foundation of his physical body was too strong. He would not be able to bring out the full medicinal energy of the dragon mark fruit. He might as well keep it and give it to Yu Chenxi when the time came. Yu Chenxi specialized in fist techniques. Her vital qi could increase by 150 tons of force. This would definitely be of great help to her close combat. Xiaochen took out 2 jade bottles and broke open the true dragon bones. 2 drops of golden dragon marrow containing pure dragon might fell into the jade bottles. Xiaochen smiled faintly and swallowed the 2 drops of dragon marrow, which others coveted. Then, he sat down cross-legged and quietly waited for the dragon marrow to take effect. When Xiaochen looked within himself, he discovered that his entire skeleton was covered in a layer of dazzling golden light. That was the dragon marrow slowly seeping into his bones. The previous half-drop of dragon marrow did not have such a mysterious phenomenon. It was probably too diluted. The amount of dragon marrow that had seeped into every bone was too little. Ka-cie. As the dragon marrow slowly seeped into Xiaochen, every bone in his body gave off soft sounds. Every bone seemed to be changing from the inside out. When all of the dragon marrow had seeped into the bones, the golden light on the bones finally disappeared. When Xiaochen looked carefully, he discovered that the color of his bones had changed. They now glowed with a faint golden light. The golden light was very faint. However, it gave his fragile bones a texture. With one look, he could tell that they had become much sturdier. Xiaochen sensed that there seemed to be something more in his entire skeleton. He carefully sensed for a long time and finally discovered that his entire skeleton was connected. There was an indistinct barrier of light, forming an internal layer of defense in his body. After withdrawing his consciousness, Xiaochen's face lit up with joy. He muttered to himself, "It looks like when I consumed the half-drop of dragon marrow, it already formed an internal layer of defense. This is the secret to blocking Bai Wushue's cold poison." However, the effect of the half-drop of dragon marrow was too little. It could not form a visible barrier of light. Xiaochen only had such an effect after consuming another 2 drops of dragon marrow. If he ran into Bai Wushue again in the future, the other party's cold poison, which gave him a headache, might be completely ineffective against him. Furthermore, with an additional internal layer of defense, Xiaochen's overall defense was much stronger than before. As Xiaochen held the dragon bones with the dragon marrow removed, he thought to himself, the barrier of light is still too faint. This internal layer of defense still has a lot of potential. Just as Xiaochen was experiencing the benefits of consuming the 2 drops of dragon marrow, a group of uninvited guests came to his courtyard with hostile gazes when they heard that he had returned. This group was led by Hua Tianhe, the true inheritors of the other sect. Xiaochen put away the dragon tone art. For now, he did not intend to learn this martial technique. He did not have the time to do so. Looking at the painting of the Qing Emperor drawing the saber, Xiaochen hesitated for a long time. In the end, he decided to unfurl the painting. The drawing of the saber of the person in the painting was simply too tempting. It was clearly just a casual posture. However, Xiaochen could see several directions from which the saber could be drawn. There were even some that he did not know of. Such a drawing the saber gave Xiaochen a significant impact. If he could learn it, his saber techniques would definitely improve. Suddenly, Xiaochen frowned and casually placed the painting of the Qing Emperor drawing the saber into his universe ring. Xiaochen looked out of the courtyard and muttered to himself for a while. Then, his figure flashed and he quickly drifted out. Standing on the blue dragon image, Xiaochen arrived outside the courtyard. Then, he expressionlessly sized up Hua Tianhe, Yun Feiyu, and the others. The eyes of the other 5 contained a murderous intent. Their expressions were cold, and they placed their right hands on their swords. Clearly, they did not come with good intentions. Xiaochen looked up and said calmly, "Senior brothers, I wonder what brings you to this small courtyard." Hua Tianhe and the others sized up Xiaochen. Shock immediately appeared in their eyes. In a short 2 months, Xiaochen's strength had become somewhat unfathomable. However, in the end, Xiaochen was only a peak medial grade martial monarch. Hua Tianhe felt slightly more at ease. He was a late-stage superior grade martial monarch. Of the other 4, the weakest was a middle-stage superior grade martial monarch. In terms of numbers and cultivation, they could completely suppress Xiaochen. Thinking of this, Hua Tianhe's face sank. He could not be bothered to speak any nonsense. He said in a cold voice, "Xiao Chen, let me ask you, were you the one who sneak attacked us in the savage beast forest that day?" Xiao Chen's expression did not change. He smiled faintly and said, "If you do not have any evidence, I hope senior brother Hua will not speak nonsense." A blue-robed swordsman behind Hua Tianhe stepped forward and pointed at Xiao Chen. He said, "Do you want evidence? After the incident, Wang Qing personally told us that you were not with them. Instead, you were sneakily hiding. You are the most suspicious." Xiao Chen had not expected Wang Qing to do such a thing. This somewhat surprised him. However, that was then and this was now. Whether there was evidence or suspicion was no longer important. Xiao Chen did not deny it. He said, "Just say what you want to say. There is no need to beat around the bush." Hua Tianhe smiled and said, "Since you already admit to it, I will be straightforward. You caused us to lose the right to go to the savage battlefield. You have to bear the responsibility for this loss." "That's right. You have to bear the responsibility. Hand over all the treasures you obtained from the savage battlefield and give each of us 1,000,000 superior-grade spirit stones. Otherwise, we will not have a good time in the Haotian sect," a person behind Hua Tianhe shouted sternly. The matter of Xiao Chen exchanging 100 moves with Bai Wuxue and remaining undefeated had not spread yet. Hence, these people all believed that they already had Xiao Chen in the bag. Hence, their words were not polite at all and were overbearing. Chapter 729. I finally revealed my fox tail. Xiao Chen smiled coldly to himself. He said indifferently, "Sorry, I will use what I can use for myself. If I cannot use it, I will give it to my friends. I will not give it to a bunch of trash." The five had expected that Xiao Chen would not give in obediently. One of the people behind Xiao Chen smiled coldly and said, "Ha ha. Since you call us trash, then junior brother Xiao Chen must be very capable. I, Lian Cheng, am here to seek some advice." "Xiao." Lian Cheng drew his sword light and soared into the air. A white mist appeared on his sword, giving off a cold qi. Unexpectedly, Lian Cheng's state was the same as Bai Wuxue's. A cold wind blew, and the temperature plummeted. Frost immediately covered the ground, spreading up from under Xiao Chen's feet. Lian Cheng was very confident in his state of ice. Not only could it reduce his opponent's speed, but it could also reduce his opponent's speed. Not only could it reduce the opponent's speed, but it could also formlessly infiltrate the opponent's body and form a cold poison, killing the opponent without them realizing it. When the sword light arrived, Xiao Chen circulated his vital qi and gently pushed out with his hand. A surging force struck the tip of the sword. Wang! Wang! The 1-meter-long sword started to tremble, and the force flowed along the blade and into Lian Cheng's right hand. The vast force pulled Lian Cheng back, nearly causing him to lose his grip on the sword. Lian Cheng was shocked. He could not understand why his state of ice did not have any effect on Xiao Chen. Furthermore, since when did Xiao Chen's strength become so great? With a gentle push, Xiao Chen easily broke Lian Cheng's flying sword strike. The scene immediately caused Hua Tianhe and the others to stare with their eyes wide open and their mouths agape. However, what shocked them even more was yet to come. Xiao Chen grasped this opportunity and unleashed his state of thunder. Electricity instantly tore apart the frost on the ground. Bang! Xiao Chen took a step forward, and a blue dragon image appeared under his feet, carrying him into the air. Vital qi surged in Xiao Chen's body like a raging river, surging endlessly. His qi and blood surged, and his aura looked like a rainbow piercing through the sun. His white robes fluttered in the wind, his long hair dancing in the wind. Xiao Chen was like an ancient god of war, stepping on a blue dragon. Lian Cheng, who hadn't even had time to turn around, had a trace of fear in his eyes when he saw Xiao Chen flying towards him. He hurriedly retreated. "Do you think you can escape?" Xiao Chen reacted quickly. He moved at lightning speed and grabbed Lian Cheng's wrist in an instant. 1,000 tons of vital chi surged and roared in his body, giving off a rumbling sound like that of a stormy sea. Looking at his body, one could feel a clump of raging flames burning. That was the invisible pressure produced when one's physical body was powerful and their chi and blood were vigorous to the extreme. Lian Qing felt as if his wrist was being clamped down by a pair of iron pincers. His face turned red, and no matter how much Xin Yuan he used, he was unable to break free. Xiao Chen casually pulled and then quickly let go. Lian Qing was thrown high up into the air like a sandbag, falling towards the lake behind him. "You are indeed not talented. You can't even be considered trash," Xiao Chen said calmly as he watched Lian Qing fly away and land on the ground. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen flung Lian Qing into the air. Hua Tianhe and the other four felt a chill run down their backs. They were in disbelief. How was this the strength of a peak medial grade martial monarch? "The few of you, if you think you are not trash, then come with me," Xiao Chen said casually. Then he soared into the air and summoned out 3 blue dragons. Xiao Chen's figure flickered, and the berserk dragons danced around. In an instant, he caught up to Lian Qing in the air. Xiao Chen casually raised his foot and stomped on Lian Qing's ribs, sending him flying like a cannonball into the lake, creating a large splash. The entire process was very simple. A middle-stage superior-grade martial monarch was toyed with by Xiao Chen, unable to resist at all. Hua Tianhe and the others were both shocked and enraged. Xiao Chen's casual words trampled on their dignity so badly that they could not bear to look at them. As true inheritors, they were respected everywhere they went in the Haotian sect, worshipping them. However, today, Xiao Chen did not care at all, directly saying that they were just a bunch of trash. The most important thing was that the contrast was too great. Originally, the few of them had intended to consider Xiao Chen's improvement. Given their strength, if they worked together, it would be easy to subdue Xiao Chen. However, the development of the situation exceeded their expectations. In just one exchange, Xiao Chen used the most tyrannical method to toss Lian Qing out. Hua Tianhe quickly analyzed the situation. Then, he said calmly, he probably consumed some natural treasure to strengthen his physical body in the savage battlefield. Even if we do not get close to him, we will still be able to defeat him if we fight him with quintessence. That's right. This fellow is too arrogant. If we cannot suppress his arrogance this time and he becomes a true inheritor in the future, we will not be able to survive in the Haotian sect. Let's work together and trample on him. The other 3 also revealed ferocious gazes as they agreed with Hua Tianhe. Xiao Chen's rise terrified them from the bottom of their hearts. No matter what, they had to trample on him. Xiao! 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 For beams of light shot out and landed on the water, surrounding Xiao Chen. They feared Xiao Chen's horrifying physical body, so they did not dare to get too close. Xiao Chen glanced at them and figured out their intentions. He drew out his lunar shadow saber and calmly placed his right hand on its hilt. There was no wind or waves on the calm surface of the lake. Under the strong auras of the 5, the flowing water seemed to have stopped, not moving at all. Hua Tianhe's group of 4 placed their hands on the hilts of their swords as they looked coldly at Xiao Chen. A heavy murderous intent appeared in the depths of their eyes. Caw! Caw! The 4 swords were drawn at the same time. Surging sword chi kicked up waves as they flew at Xiao Chen. Each strand of sword chi contained a different state. Some were like strong winds, some were like surging flames, some were as heavy as earth, and some were as sharp as metal. The state of wind, the state of fire, the state of earth, and the state of metal supported the sword chi of the 4 states. From a distance, it looked very majestic amid the splashes of water. Towering waves and layers of water appeared. Under such a scene, the white-robed Xiao Chen looked as insignificant as an ant. Xiao Chen did not show any fear. He quickly drew his saber with his right hand, and the immortal state of thunder surged out. Thunderclouds filled the sky above, and electric light shot out from the saber. Bang! 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 Xiao Chen's figure moved as he swung his saber 4 times, shattering the 4 strands of sword chi. Quintessence surged out, and a huge pillar of water shot up into the sky from the lake. Hua Tianyu's group of 4 made up their minds not to get close to Xiao Chen. Their nimble figures leaped quickly on the water, sending strands of sword chi at Xiao Chen. They wanted to use their advantage in cultivation to exhaust Xiao Chen to death. When Xiao Chen ran out of quintessence, they would be able to do whatever they wanted to him. Xiao Chen understood. He had already condensed his quintessence twice. In terms of quintessence, he had no less than any of them. If they really wanted to fight like this, Xiao Chen would be happy to do so. By the time he ran out of quintessence, he would be able to use the strength of his physical body to crush this group of people. Electric light surged on the calm lake, a strong wind howled, and flames surged. All sorts of quintessence shot out from the surface of the lake. They kicked up huge waves and boundless ripples. The entire lake turned chaotic. Such fluctuations immediately startled the inner sect disciples living nearby. When they saw the faces of the two sides fighting, they were all startled. What's going on? Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen is fighting with Hua Tianhe's group. He is fighting 1 against 4, and he is not at a disadvantage. Since when did Xiao Chen become so strong? More cultivators gathered at the lakeside to watch. Intense shock filled their eyes. The difference in status between the two sides was simply too great. Xiao Chen was just an inner sect disciple who had just joined the sect half a year ago. On the other side, there was a strong true inheritor with a noble status. Although Yun Feiyu had not officially become a true inheritor, his strength was already recognized to be on the same level as a true inheritor. For true inheritors had to fight so bitterly against one inner sect disciple. Such a situation had never happened before in the history of the Haotian sect. Boundless sword chi shot at Xiao Chen like cannonballs. Xiao Chen did not panic, only brandishing the saber in his hand. He broke the various sword chi coming at him one by one. Then, he kept his quintessence and did not react. He only calmly watched the 4 people who wanted to knock him down immediately. Hua Tianhe and the other 3 gradually felt that something was wrong. Almost 1 hour had passed, but Xiao Chen did not have any quintessence left. Senior brother Hua, this brat is strange. I have already exhausted 2/3 of my quintessence, but he still looks fine. I have exhausted more than half of my quintessence as well. If this continues, I will be completely out of combat prowess. The 4 sent voice projections to Hua Tianhe one after another. Some fluster appeared in their hearts, they could not figure out Xiao Chen at all. Hua Tianhe said sullenly, never mind. Let's cut off all means of retreat and use our heaven-ranked martial techniques together. I don't believe that we cannot destroy him. The combined attacks of 4 heaven-ranked martial techniques were so mighty that even a half-sage would not dare to underestimate them. If a weaker half-sage got struck, they would immediately be severely injured. Xiao Chen looked around the 4's faces and guessed what they were thinking. It is time to end this. These people are much weaker than Shimen Bao. Now that I have consumed 2 more drops of dragon marrow, they are no longer on the same level as me. After making up his mind, Xiao Chen looked around and fixed his gaze on Yun Feiyu, the former top inner sect disciple. The blue dragon swung its tail, and a strong wind blew, creating an arc. Xiao Chen stood on the blue dragon and instantly arrived before Yun Feiyu. Yun Feiyu's face sank. Before he could react, Xiao Chen's attack arrived. Ghostly image chop. Saber lights danced around, sending out 72 saber images. The real and fake were hard to distinguish, looking like phantoms. Each saber image contained the immortal state of thunder and Xiao Chen's great perfection saber intent. Its might was unfathomable. Dang! 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 The saber and sword clashed, creating intense sparks. Yun Feiyu blocked 72 saber strikes. With each strike, he was pushed back 100 meters. By the time the others reacted, Xiao Chen had already pushed Yun Feiyu back more than 7 kilometers. Chase! We cannot let him defeat us one by one. Hua Tianhe's expression changed drastically as he quickly led the remaining 2 people in pursuit. However, the group only advanced 1 kilometer before they heard a miserable shriek. A boundless sea of lightning blasted Yunfei, inflicting internal injuries. He vomited a mouthful of blood and sank to the bottom of the lake. A boundless sea of lightning appeared in front of them. With a glance, all they saw was electric light. Xiao Chen's figure was nowhere to be seen. Chapter 730. Hua Tianhe was the first to feel that something was wrong. He felt like a venomous snake was staring at him. He did not know where his opponent was hiding. Retreat! Quickly retreat! The group rushed over. However, when they were less than a kilometer away, they immediately retreated. This baffled the many disciples at the lakeshore. However, they soon realized why Hua Tianhe and his 2 lackeys had decided to retreat. A strand of saber light appeared from somewhere in the boundless sea of lightning. It was untraceable and swept through the area. Pu Ci. As the saber light flashed, finger-sized bloody holes appeared in the chests of Hua Tianhe's group. Blood spurted out like a fountain. The wounds were less than 2 centimeters away from their hearts. If Xiao Chen had not shown mercy, the 3 would have died on the spot. Hua Tianhe paled as he looked at the white figure in front in disbelief. His group really lost to an inner sect disciple who was only a peak medial grade martial monarch. Xiao Chen slowly turned around and looked coldly at the 3, who were doing their best to cover their wounds. There was no trace of sympathy in his eyes. Then, Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and stepped forward, letting the sword qi that the 3 sent fly at him. Xiao Chen stomped 3 times with boundless force, sending the 3 flying like cannonballs into the bottom of the lake. The 3 strands of sword qi struck Xiao Chen's protective quintessence, and the remnant energy entered his body. First, his skin and flesh blocked half of the sword qi. Then, the light barrier on his bones blocked the remaining half. Most of the sword qi had already entered his internal organs. It did not cause much damage to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's internal organs churned slightly, and he was fine. When Xiao Chen looked around, he saw that the raging lake had already calmed down. He could no longer see any opponents. Hua Tianhe's group of 5 only dared to poke their heads out of the lake. They looked at Xiao Chen in horror, not even daring to fly out. When did Xiao Chen become so strong? Looking at the situation, apart from Shui Lingling, perhaps only those true disciples who went to Bushan Palace can suppress him. I really can't believe it. For true inheritors, in addition to Yunfei, are not a match for Xiao Chen even after working together. And looking at Xiao Chen's situation, it's obvious that he didn't give it his all. The battle had ended so cleanly, leaving the inner disciples at the shore in disbelief. The discussions entered Xiao Chen's ears. However, he did not feel that there was anything to be complacent about. If it were any of the 7 giants here, they would not be satisfied. Both of them were able to face the 5 of them more easily than him. The difference in strength between the 2 of them was already on a completely different level. Moreover, from the very beginning, Xiao Chen's goal had never been to become a true disciple of the Haotian sect. How vast was this world? When one looked around, there were countless geniuses and heroes. How could one narrow one's sights and be complacent? Xiao Chen glanced coldly at the heads popping out of the lake. This frightened Hua Tianhe and the others into quickly diving back down, not even daring to show their heads. Xiao Chen withdrew his gaze and ignored these arrogant trash. Then, he returned to the courtyard. High in the sky above the lake, Shui Lingling stood on a cloud. She smiled at the sky and said, "Master, you saw it clearly now, right? Lingling, I did not lie to you, right?" In the faint blue sky, the image of a pair of eyes slowly appeared behind Shui Lingling. This image was very large. The sky behind Shui Lingling was covered by this pair of eyes. Under the gaze of this pair of eyes, it seemed that no secret in the world could be hidden from them. The owner of the eyes said, "He is indeed a person with great luck. Unfortunately, this person cannot be used by the Haotian sect." Shui Lingling's gentle expression changed slightly. She said, "Why can't Xiao Chen be used by the Haotian sect? I can tell that he likes freedom." However, Master, you are a greater celestial Emperor Wu. If you speak to him personally, you will definitely be able to move him. It turned out that the owner of this pair of eyes was the sect master of the Haotian sect, the Haotian Emperor. 1,000 years ago, he successfully advanced from a lesser celestial to a greater celestial, Emperor Wu. He led the Haotian sect from a rank 8 sect to the 9 ranks of the great families. Furthermore, it was one of the best. The Haotian Emperor said in a deep voice, "That's not the reason. His background is too great. No sect in the world can bind him." Shui Lingling was confused. She said, "Master, since when did you look at the background of a disciple? Isn't it fine as long as he has great luck?" Without answering Shui Lingling's question, the Haotian Emperor's voice sounded again. He said, "Although he cannot be used by the sect, it will be beneficial for the Haotian sect to build a good relationship with him. Pass on my order. Let the great elders in the sect look after him secretly." The pair of eyes slowly disappeared. The clouds in the sky suddenly gathered together. Then, with a swoosh, they condensed into the appearance of a middle-aged man. The body formed by the clouds was no different from a real person. It looked full of flesh and blood, full of energy. It didn't feel illusory at all. Shui Lingling exclaimed in shock, "Master, you actually used a Will clone? What exactly is this Xiao Chen's background?" The Haotian Emperor smiled faintly and said, "There is no need to care about Xiao Chen's background. Just treat him as an ordinary genius. I believe that those major characters in the Bushan Palace think the same. Otherwise, they would have notified me long ago." The Haotian Emperor sighed and smiled. "Since I saw him, I should go and have a chat with those old friends. Unfortunately, I just saw a starry heavens brick, and I have to give up on it." After saying that, the Haotian Emperor's clone casually tore at the air. A crack immediately appeared in the stable spatial structure of the Kunlun realm. Space was like a complete building with a hole torn in it. When one looked at the hole, one could see the lines formed by space and time, forming a complicated three-dimensional diagram flickering with fluorescent light. The Haotian Emperor's figure flashed, and he leaped into the spatial crack that he tore open. The crack slowly closed. When it reopened, it had already traveled an extremely long distance, directly arriving in the central province from the Haotian province. Then, it landed in the Bushan Palace. Shui Lingling said softly, "Junior brother Xiao Chen is really unfathomable. Master actually gave up on experiential training in the Milky Way for him and sent down his Will clone." Inside the courtyard, Xiao Chen did not know that Emperor Wu had personally witnessed the earlier battle. Furthermore, that Emperor Wu seemed to have figured out his origins. At this moment, Xiao Chen was discussing with Ao Jiao where the mysterious place she mentioned was and what kind of benefits he could obtain if he went there. "Little Ao Jiao, for your sake, I rejected first senior sister's kind invitation. Now, you have to tell me where exactly you are going, right?" Inside the immortal spirit ring, Ao Jiao was like a hard-working gardener. Her petite face had a cheerful smile as she meticulously took care of the valuable spirit trees in the immortal spirit ring. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Ao Jiao smiled disapprovingly. "You make it sound so nice. Do you think I do not know what you are thinking in your heart? Going with me will bring you more freedom. If you go with your first senior sister, you will definitely cause a lot of trouble." This was indeed one of the things that Xiao Chen was worried about. Shui Lingling was very beautiful and dazzling. There was no lack of suitors in the Bushan Palace. Xiao Chen had received such special treatment from her. If he went there, there would definitely be boring trouble waiting for him. Xiao Chen picked up the cup of tea on the table and drained it in one gulp. Then, he smiled embarrassedly and said, "No matter what, you have to tell me what kind of test I have to undergo." Ao Jiao stopped what she was doing and nodded. "Indeed, I should tell you. That is where the Thunder King comprehended the will of thunder. After thousands of years, there should not have been any changes. The will of thunder." Hearing these words, Xiao Chen's eyes immediately lit up. How strong was the will of thunder? Back then, Anjuanshi's whip had shocked all the outstanding talents of the entire Tianwu domain. He had taken away the most valuable treasure in the true dragon remains, leaving everyone with no distracting thoughts. Aside from admiration, they did not have any other thoughts. Xiao Chen felt somewhat uneasy as he said, "Little Ao Jiao, don't lie to me. Are you telling me the truth?" Ao Jiao retorted angrily, "Since when did I lie to you?" Back then, the Thunder King did indeed comprehend the will of thunder there. Although I cannot guarantee that you will succeed in comprehending the will of thunder, there is at least a 50% chance of success. After Xiao Chen calmed down, he asked the most crucial question, "Haha. Don't be angry. I got a little excited. Where is that place? How long will it take to go there and back?" After Ao Jiao thought for a while, she replied, "Very, very far. It is in a dangerous land in the Fiend domain. It will take at least 6 months to go there and back from the Haotian province." Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Such a long time and all sorts of unexpected surprises would take him at least a year to prepare. He would have to prepare for this trip for at least a year before he could deal with all sorts of things that might happen in the middle of the trip. However, a year's leave was not easy to apply for. The Haotian sect had a rule that those who had not been in the sect for 2 years could not leave the sect for half a year. However, the place that Ao Jiao mentioned was a place that Xiao Chen had to go to. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for him to surpass Bai Wuxue within a year. After all, Bai Wuxue would not wait for Xiao Chen to surpass him without making any progress. If Xiao Chen wanted to succeed, he would have to put in more effort than Bai Wuxue. No matter what, Xiao Chen had to comprehend the will of thunder. 3 days later, after Xiao Chen bought all the supplies he would need along the way, he went to Shui Lingling's residence and stated his intentions. "Huh. You wanting to apply for a year's leave is not beyond my expectations." When Shui Lingling heard that, she did not feel surprised. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "Since first senior sister already expected it, I wonder if you will allow it?" "Naturally, there is no problem with agreeing to it. However, I am very curious. What kind of place is more attractive than going to Bushan Palace with me?" Shui Lingling asked curiously as she looked at Xiao Chen with her bright eyes. Xiao Chen really did not know how to explain. Ao Jiao had not mentioned that place in detail. Even if he wanted to explain, he would not be able to do so. Seeing that Xiao Chen was in a difficult position, Shui Lingling did not pursue the matter. She took out a jade pendant and said, "This is my personal identity pendant. Take it to the inner city's hall to ask for instructions. No one should be able to make things difficult for you." Xiao Chen received the fragrant jade pendant and performed a cupped fist salute in thanks. "Many thanks for First Senior Sister's help. Xiao Chen will definitely repay First Senior Sister's kindness in the future." Chapter 731. After Xiao Chen spoke, he left in a rush. When he reached the door, Shui Lingling suddenly called out to him. Xiao Chen stopped and asked, "First Senior Sister, is there something else?" Shui Lingling closed her eyes, and her gentle face sank into deep thought. After a while, she opened her eyes and said, "I will wait for you to return 1 year from now. At that time, not only will you have to face Bai Wushue's challenge, but you should also be qualified to participate in the Sage War of the Proud Son of Heaven ranking. Finally, take care. No matter what, you have to return alive." Xiao Chen's body trembled slightly. He could feel the concern in Shui Lingling's words, so he paused for a moment. He wanted to say something, but in the end, he did not say anything and left. Starlight flickered, and the night became like a chessboard, showing many changes. In the periphery of the savage beast forest in the Haotian province, towering trees could be seen everywhere. The dense foliage blocked out the starlight, not letting it shine. Beast roars resounded in the dark forest, sometimes near and sometimes far. They sounded like the angry roars of ghosts. In this pitch-black world, it was exceptionally flustered. However, the cultivators who came to take the risk would not be frightened by the dark night. If they were timid, they would not have the guts to barge into the famous savage beast forest of the Tianwu domain. Somewhere in the forest, a bonfire burned fiercely. The flickering light from the fire gave this dark world a not-so-dazzling light. In the boundless darkness, the light of this fire could illuminate everything within 5 kilometers. Aside from newcomers to the savage beast forest, no one would be able to see it. Aside from newcomers to the savage beast forest, no one would light a bonfire at night. That was no different from suicide. The ferocious nocturnal spirit beasts would discover it immediately and launch themselves at you. However, at this moment, a kilometer away from the bonfire, pairs of green eyes stared at the white figure beside the bonfire. However, they hesitated, not daring to take any action. A few fire spirit monkeys with their stomachs cut open hung from a tree a kilometer away. The blood on their chests had yet to congeal, and a pungent smell lingered for a long time. Fire spirit monkeys were rank 8 spirit beasts. They were tyrants in the periphery, and no one dared to offend them. Seeing the corpses of the spirit beasts hanging on the tree, any spirit beast with the slightest bit of instinct would not act rashly. Next to the bonfire, there was an unfurled scroll floating in the air. The white figure half a meter in front of the scroll was staring at the person in the painting. A young girl with a petite and cute face and an extremely hot body was adding branches to the bonfire bit by bit. The flickering firelight caused her delicate face to turn red. The young girl smiled and softly counted, 1, 2, 3, 4. When he counted to 9, the white figure in front of the painting seemed to have experienced something extremely terrifying. His face was filled with terror as he retreated dozens of steps. The man and woman were none other than Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao, who had left the Haotian sect. No sect would allow a disciple to go on a long journey after being in the sect for less than a year. Firstly, they were afraid of an accident. Secondly, they were afraid that the disciple would leave after obtaining some benefits. However, with Shui Lingling's personal jade pendant, the Haotian sect's inner sect first elder had no choice but to agree to Xiao Chen's request. Yu Chenxi and Gong Yangyu had both gone on sect missions, so Xiao Chen could not say goodbye. After entrusting someone to hand the dragon mark fruit to Yu Chenxi, he left on his way alone. The fastest way to the Fiend domain from the Haotian province was to head west through the savage beast forest. After passing the most remote Hunluo province of the Tianwu domain, one would arrive at the Fiend domain. When Ao Jiao saw Xiao Chen take a few steps back, she smiled and said, "Not bad. This time, you lasted for 9 seconds. Soon, you will be able to break through 10 seconds." Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. He stretched out his hand and rolled up the painting of the Qing Emperor drawing the saber. He sighed and said, "I can already discover 32 directions to draw the saber." However, his starting stance seems to be ever-changing. There is always a direction that you cannot predict. After entering the savage forest, Xiao Chen had nothing to do. In the end, he could not resist the temptation of the painting of the Qing Emperor drawing the saber, so he unfurled the painting again. In reality, any true bladesman would be like Xiao Chen. After seeing a saber technique that defied their common sense, no matter how strange it was, they would try to figure out what it was. Slowly, Xiao Chen discovered that he could block the saber of the person in the painting. However, he had to guess where he would draw the saber first. Otherwise, he would still die in one strike. Even though Xiao Chen had experienced this many times before, he still had not gotten used to the feeling of approaching death. It was unbearable. However, Xiao Chen had benefited a lot from this kind of suicidal behavior. His understanding of drawing the saber was much stronger than before. The process of drawing the saber only took an instant. However, in that instant, as the body moved or the angle at which the saber was held changed, the trajectory of the saber would immediately become very different. The trajectory of Xiao Chen's saber immediately became very different. Even the surrounding environment changed. Even if the trajectory of the saber was the same, the situation would change. If one advanced to a higher realm and infused their state of mind into drawing the saber, there would be new changes. An even higher realm would be one with the world. The instant the saber was drawn, it would contain the comprehension of the world, the control of the heavenly Tao. At that point, the saber would no longer be a saber. Xiao Chen was still far from such a realm. He was still at the most basic stage. how to control the angle and the environment to make different changes. As far as Xiao Chen knew, there was no one in the younger generation of the Tianwu domain who had such a deep understanding of drawing the saber. If Xiao Chen could improve it further, it might become his new killing move. As Xiao Chen held the painting, he revealed a contemplative gaze. He muttered, "I keep feeling that this painting is not that simple. There should be an even greater secret hidden in it." Ao Jiao raised her eyelids slightly and said, "What is so special about it? I have seen many such treasures. They are just projections of one's comprehension of the martial technique onto a piece of paper. Many of the martial techniques that Emperor Wu passed on to the later generations are like this. The jade strip containing the dragon tone absolute art of yours has a similar effect. It is just that this drawing the saber is harder to comprehend." Xiao Chen smiled faintly and placed the painting in his universe ring. He said, "Perhaps. However, I have a feeling that if I can grasp all the positions of the saber, the answer will be obvious." Ao Jiao's lips curled up slightly. Clearly, she did not believe that there was any big secret. Xiao Chen swept his gaze around. When he saw the many pairs of green eyes, he said, "Get up, I have to get to work." Xiao Chen casually waved his hand and extinguished the bonfire in front of him. Then, he turned into a beam of dim light and returned to the immortal spirit ring. The surrounding light vanished, and night completely engulfed Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen stretched his arms and legs. After he locked onto his prey, he quickly ran and leaped across the ground. So. The darkness of the night did not hinder Xiao Chen's vision at all. A white figure leaped about in the forest like a nimble cheetah, leaping over obstacle after obstacle. Xiao Chen crossed a kilometer in an instant. A spirit beast covered in snow-white fur and looking like a stout tiger appeared before Xiao Chen. This was one of the more powerful rank 7 spirit beasts, the ice tiger. However, it did not pose any challenge to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen had another purpose in making it his prey. Xiao Chen's strong aura was withdrawn in his body, not leaking it out, no different from an ordinary person. When the ice tiger saw Xiao Chen, its first impression was that he was somewhat strange. However, it was not as intelligent as humans. When the ice tiger no longer sensed any danger, it finally could not resist moving forward. The surging energy from its feet pounded the ground rhythmically. Dong! 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 The ice tiger gave off ear-splitting sounds that traveled far into the darkness before slowly fading away. Seeing the ice tiger approach, Xiao Chen smiled faintly. He did not show any intention of moving. However, the purple clouds in Xiao Chen's dantian scattered and turned into vast quintessence, surging through his meridians like a gushing river. The path of the quintessence's flow was very strange. It only made small cycles in the 3 meridians in his chest. Eventually, the quintessence flowed faster and faster, spinning somewhat frantically. This spurred Xiao Chen's blood, bones, skin, and muscles to give off subtle clanging sounds. Dang! 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 The sounds gathered together like a low and furious dragon roar. As the quintessence spun in Xiao Chen's chest, it did its best to find an outlet to release it. However, it could not go out. It could only spin, 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 and spin. That low dragon roar became increasingly urgent. The accumulated energy made Xiao Chen feel like his chest would explode at any moment. If Xiao Chen looked into his body at this moment, he would discover that the quintessence flowing in his chest had turned into an azure dragon image. The dragon image turned solid. As the low dragon roar became more urgent, the dragon image turned more solid. It was like all the sound gathered in this azure dragon image's quintessence. The swelling feeling in Xiao Chen's chest had already reached the critical point. If this energy could not be vented, it would explode Xiao Chen to death. The ice tiger's huge figure was only 5 meters away from Xiao Chen. It swung its claws at Xiao Chen. If Xiao Chen did not do anything, no matter how hard his head was, this attack from the ice tiger would turn him into meat paste. Break! Xiao Chen, who had not moved all this while, finally moved. However, he did not move his feet or his hands. Instead, he roared at the top of his lungs. The dragon-shaped quintessence that had been waiting in Xiao Chen's body for a long time, itching to charge out immediately, shot out with a xiao sound. The dragon-shaped quintessence spun around and turned into a whirlpool of formless sound waves that quickly spread out from Xiao Chen's throat. A loud sound rang out together with this roar. This sound was even more intense than thunder. Dragon might spread out as if it could shatter mountains and rivers for 5,000 kilometers around. Blood leaked out of the ice tiger's ears, nose, and mouth 5 meters in front. Then, it fell over powerlessly. In the next moment, a strong wind blew, and all the towering trees within 500 meters exploded from the tree trunks. Along with the soil, the tree splashed out. The sky was filled with broken tree trunks, dancing in the air. The ice tiger on the ground was not dead yet. Its limbs twitched continuously. Blood flowed out of the corner of its mouth, and its eyes were wide open. Xiao Chen bent over and placed his right hand on the ice tiger's back. Then, he sent out a strand of spiritual sense to check carefully. After a while, Xiao Chen revealed a dissatisfied expression. The ice tiger's internal organs did not shatter, only a crack appeared. At such a close distance, Xiao Chen executed the dragon tone art and still could not kill a rank 7 spirit beast instantly. It had to be said that there were many areas that Xiao Chen needed to strengthen. Chapter 732. Xiao Chen looked around and measured the distance. Then, he said softly, 500 meters. This is much larger than a few days ago. Continue working hard. First, expand the range to 1 kilometer. Then, practice the angle of the sound wave. As for how to bring out the dragon might in the sound wave, Xiao Chen still needed to practice continuously. Leaping up, Xiao Chen vanished into the night, continuing his search for his next prey. The spirit beasts in the periphery of the savage beast forest were not very strong. The strongest were rank 8 spirit beasts. Xiao Chen could move about without fear here, cultivating the dragon tone art without any fear. Of course, if he was unlucky, he might run into a strong spirit beast from the inner area or other adventuring cultivators. That would be a different story. The mysterious roar resounded in the quiet night again, disturbing the spirit beasts and the nocturnal cultivators. That sound was like the roar of a true dragon, as startling as a clap of thunder. Several spirit beasts fled, and the periphery of the savage beast forest fell into chaos. Only when the sky brightened did the sound vanish. The chaotic situation slowly calmed down. However, several cultivators had already made up their minds not to come to the savage beast forest for the time being. Xiao Chen did not know that he had caused such a huge commotion. He sat cross-legged on a thick tree trunk, circulating his energy to recover his exhausted quintessence. Xiao Chen's thoughts were not idle either. He carefully comprehended the results of last night's cultivation. When a beam of sunlight pierced through the dense foliage and landed on Xiao Chen, he slowly opened his eyes. A purple light flickered in the depths of his eyes. Xiao Chen stood up and spat out a mouthful of turbid qi. He felt refreshed, the fatigue from the previous night swept away. Perhaps I have been too superficial. Since the dragon tone art specifically counters mental energy martial techniques, the intimidation of the sound wave should not be my main focus. Last night, Xiao Chen tested it many times and discovered that no matter how much quintessence he exhausted, it was difficult to increase the dragon tone art's offensive power. The moment Xiao Chen thought of this, it was like a beam of light suddenly lit up in his mind. Several of his thoughts connected. That's right, the dragon tone art should use quintessential essence as a supplement and mental energy as the main. The true dragon's voice had to enter the other party's sea of consciousness to achieve its greatest might. Since it countered mental energy martial techniques, how could it rely on quintessence? It had to bring along mental energy as well. The cultivation of the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation caused Xiao Chen's mental energy to be much higher than that of an ordinary person. If it was as Xiao Chen thought, he would not be able to break through the Heavenly Thunder Divine Incantation. In his hands, the dragon tone art would definitely be able to display a might that far surpassed that of his predecessors. Thinking of this, Xiaochen jumped down from the tree. Soon, he found an ordinary rank 7 lightning ox and circulated the dragon tone art. At the same time, the mental energy in his sea of consciousness began to boil. Xiaochen squinted his eyes and let out a furious roar, uttering the voice of a true dragon. The mental energy in his sea of consciousness was reduced by 30% in an instant. The dragon's might in the sound wave rose infinitely in an instant, as if there was a real blue dragon roaring. Buzz! The lightning ox charging at Xiaochen felt a jolt in its mind, as if it had been struck by lightning. Then, it fell over. Xiaochen quickly leaped over and arrived before the lightning ox. When he looked carefully, he discovered that the lightning ox's life force was still strong. However, its eyes were lifeless, and its body trembled. For now, it did not have any combat prowess, waiting to be slaughtered. Xiaochen's face lit up in joy. He smiled and said, "Indeed, it is like that." When comparing spirit beasts to cultivators, the greatest advantage is their physical bodies. In the future, when I meet strong spirit beasts, I will have an additional means to protect myself. However, I wonder how effective it will be on cultivators. When cultivators advance to martial monarch, they would open their sea of consciousness. Their mental energy was not something that spirit beasts could compare to. It would be difficult to achieve such an effect on cultivators. Seeing that the lightning ox seemed to have recovered, Xiaochen circulated his quintessence and sent out a strand of purple saber chi, chopping off its head. After sorting out his emotions, Xiaochen continued on his way. His destination was clear: he headed west. Just like that, Xiaochen traveled during the day and cultivated the dragon tone art at night. Occasionally, he executed the blue dragon drawing the saber painting, comprehending the dragon's gate Qing emperors drawing the saber painting. As the days went by, Xiaochen became increasingly familiar with the dragon tone art. He also discovered 72 different directions for the Qing emperors drawing the saber. The more Xiaochen delved into that mysterious painting, the more astonished he felt. No matter how he thought about it, there would always be an unexpected saber strike that would kill him. 1 month later, Xiaochen calculated the distance he had traveled. He had already left several large provinces behind. As for himself, he was already deep in the inner area of the savage beast forest. The weakest spirit beasts in the inner area were peak rank 8, comparable to late-stage superior grade martial monarchs. Occasionally, Xiaochen would run into a few rank 9 spirit beasts. When he ran into such spirit beasts, Xiaochen's dragon tone art would not be very effective. He could only stay far away to avoid trouble. Xiaochen moved cautiously along the way. Fortunately, Xiaochen was safe and sound. In reality, as long as he did not run into the rare rank 10 spirit beasts, Xiaochen would be able to leave easily. After all, no matter how powerful a rank 9 spirit beast was, it could not be stronger than Bai Wuxue. Now, even Bai Wuxue could not stop Xiaochen, much less a rank 9 spirit beast. After entering the inner area, the number of cultivators that Xiaochen could run into decreased. However, when he occasionally ran into cultivators who were adventuring, he would be on high alert. The cultivators who dared to venture into the inner area could not be underestimated. Furthermore, the human heart was sinister. Human cultivators were far more terrifying than spirit beasts. Fortunately, Xiaochen was not weak. Others would not be able to see through him. Furthermore, he did not have any treasures on him. So, he did not have to fight with human cultivators. On this particular day, as Xiaochen was walking on a small path in the forest, he suddenly heard panicked footsteps in front of him. Along with the footsteps were ragged breathing. When Xiaochen heard the sounds, he guessed that someone was being chased. Furthermore, the situation did not look good. Not wanting to cause any trouble, Xiaochen pushed off the ground and hid behind a towering tree. Indeed, as Xiaochen expected, a young man covered in wounds appeared before him. His robes were stained with blood, and he held a sword in his hand. This young swordsman seemed to be an early-stage inferior grade martial monarch. Xiaochen could not understand how someone with such strength could appear in the inner area of the savage beast forest. This was no different from suicide. Behind this young swordsman were 5 black-clothed swordsmen with the same emblem on their chests. They chased him closely, not letting him go. Pu Ci. The young swordsman was too severely injured. When he saw his pursuers getting closer, he panicked and tripped over a tree branch, falling to the ground. The 5 black-clothed swordsmen laughed maniacally. Their figures flashed, and they surrounded the young swordsman in an instant. Situ Feng, do you think that we will not dare to chase you after you ran into the inner area of the savage beast forest? The leader of the 5 black-clothed swordsmen said coldly. The young swordsman's eyes were filled with horror. He quickly climbed to his feet, and his right hand, which held his sword, trembled. Under such circumstances, the young swordsman knew that he would lose his life here. It would be difficult for him to survive. You are too much. I'll fight it out with you. Knowing that he would not be able to escape death, the fear in the young swordsman's eyes vanished. He ferociously charged over, prepared to die, and started fighting with the leader of the swordsmen. Electric light leaped around Situ Feng's sword. As the sword light danced, thunder roared faintly. The combination of the state of the sword technique was rather exquisite. Perhaps the explosive power of Situ Feng's death was too scary, but the 5 black-clothed swordsmen did not want to get injured by a dying person. The 5 black-clothed swordsmen had mocking gazes as they slowly drained Situ Feng's final bit of quintessence. Xiao Chen only took one look and could not be bothered to continue watching. Both sides were only inferior-grade martial monarchs. Such a battle could not interest Xiao Chen at all. Furthermore, Xiao Chen was not so compassionate as to save a stranger when he did not know the situation. Xiao Chen, don't leave yet. Save that swordsman first. Just as Xiao Chen raised his foot, Ao Jiao's voice rang out in the immortal spirit ring. Xiao Chen had no choice but to change his mind. Situ Feng was already severely injured. How could his final burst of power last? Soon, before the mocking gazes of the 5 black-clothed swordsmen, Situ Feng's aura plummeted. Situ Feng's legs trembled, and the electric light on his sword disappeared. With one look, it was clear that his quintessence was completely drained. Kill him, the leading black-clothed swordsman said to the 4 behind him with a cold smile. 4 strands of sword light containing boundless killing chi headed for Situ Feng's body coldly, trying to chop him into 4 pieces. Situ Feng closed his eyes in despair. His heart was filled with regret. If he had not been greedy, he would not have ended up in such a state. Without his life, glory, splendor, wealth, and rank would be useless. Bang! 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 Fist winds howled, and 4 miserable cries rang out. Situ Feng opened his eyes and was startled to see what happened. The 4 black-clothed swordsmen flying at him all vomited a large mouthful of blood and went flying back. Their faces contorted in incredible pain. At some point in time, a white-robed cultivator had appeared before Situ Feng, staring coldly at him. The leading black-clothed swordsman revealed a startled expression. As he looked at Xiao Chen, he felt somewhat unfathomable. Xiao Chen's cultivation was not much higher than his. However, when Xiao Chen attacked, he injured 4 inferior-grade martial monarchs, rendering them completely defenseless. The black-clothed swordsman tried to recall all the experts in Hunluo province. However, he could not find a match for this person. He could not help but feel suspicious. Who are you? Why are you obstructing our Azure Peak City's Lu clan? The black-clothed swordsman asked sullenly. Xiao Chen calmly lowered his hands and looked up at the other party. He said, "Who I am is none of your concern. You cannot kill this person now." Xiao Chen felt somewhat surprised. He had used a lightning-quick move to force the other party to retreat. After all, this place was close to Hunluo province's territory. If he offended a large faction, it would not be good to invite trouble for himself. However, that black-clothed swordsman did not retreat. Instead, he reported his clan. Could it be that the nearby Lu clan was a large faction? The black-clothed swordsman thought quickly. Xiao Chen defeated 4 inferior-grade martial monarchs in an instant. He was not a match for Xiao Chen. However, the first young master was rushing over with his men. If the black-clothed swordsman could delay this person, given the first young master's strength, he would definitely be able to block this person. Furthermore, Situ Feng knew the Lu clan's great secret. He had to die. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble in the future. Chapter 733. After the black-clad swordsman made up his mind, he wanted to charge forward and delay Xiao Chen. However, at this moment, a saber suddenly appeared in Xiao Chen's left hand. He placed his right hand on the saber and leaned forward slightly. In an instant, a boundless killing intent surged out. The black-clad swordsman felt like there were many eyes in the air, looking at him coldly and expressionlessly. This startled the black-clad swordsman. He quickly stopped, not daring to charge forward. Damn it! What's going on? It is clearly just a starting stance. Why am I so afraid? The black-clad swordsman's eyes were filled with horror. He could not help but want to retreat. Xiao! A saber light flashed, and the black-clad swordsman quickly swung his sword to block. However, he missed. Xiao Chen appeared at the black-clad swordsman's side, and blood spurted out. Xiao Chen had chopped off the black-clad swordsman's left arm. The black-clad swordsman cried out in pain. His complexion was as pale as paper as he retreated continuously. The four black-clad swordsmen lying on the ground felt confused. They had seen everything clearly. Xiao Chen's saber strike looked very ordinary, there was nothing special about it. Why did Big Brother not block it? This was the first time Xiao Chen used the starting stance of Qing Emperor drawing the saber in actual combat. The effect was pretty good. Right now, the instant Xiao Chen drew his saber, he could move in 16 different directions. Against an opponent one grade lower, he could defeat them in an instant. Situ Feng's eyes widened in disbelief as he looked at the scene before him. An early-stage medial-grade martial monarch actually lost so easily. Who exactly is this person before me? I have never heard of such a powerful white-robed bladesman in Clear Wind City, no, Hunluo province. Let's go. Before Situ Feng could recover from his shock, he felt his body lighten. Then, he was carried into the air by Xiao Chen. The wind blew by Situ Feng's ears. As they flew, Situ Feng's mind was filled with questions, but he could not voice them. After flying for a long time, Xiao Chen slowly landed. Situ Feng stood firmly and immediately said, "Many thanks, friend, for saving my life. Would you tell me your great name?" After narrowly escaping death, Situ Feng could not help the joy in his eyes. When Xiao Chen interacted with strangers, he always kept his guard up. He did not say much and directly asked Ao Jiao's question from the immortal spirit ring, "Where did you learn your sword techniques?" Situ Feng was slightly stunned. After he reacted, he said, "I learned my sword techniques from the Eternal Heavenly Sword School. I was once an outer sect disciple there. After failing to become an inner sect disciple several times, I returned to my clan in Clear Wind City. What exactly are the origins of this person's sword techniques? You only took one look, and you want me to save him?" Xiao Chen asked out of curiosity. Ao Jiao replied softly, "That is the Thunder Light Fleeing Shadow's sword that the Thunder King comprehended himself when he was young. He has never taught it to anyone. I'm just curious as to how he learned it." Naturally, Situ Feng could not hear the conversation between the two. He bandaged his wounds and looked at Xiao Chen. "Friend, you probably offended the Lu clan by saving me. How about returning to the Situ clan with me? Is the Lu clan very strong?" Xiao Chen asked interestedly. Situ Feng had forgotten that Xiao Chen was an outsider, so he told him about this place in detail. This savage beast forest was already very close to Hunluo province. The nearest city was Clear Wind City, a medium-sized city in Hunluo province. There were two major factions in the city. One was the Lu clan, and the other was their Situ clan. The two clans were like fire and water, fighting each other for many years. The clan heads of the two clans were half-sages. Although they had been fighting each other for many years, their strengths were equal. Neither could do anything to the other. Since the clan head was only a half-sage, Xiaochen relaxed. He rejected, "There is no need. I'll send you to the periphery of the forest and leave on my own." Situ Feng exclaimed in shock, "Their clan head is currently in this savage beast forest. If they discover you, you will not be able to escape death." In Situ Feng's opinion, although Xiao Chen was strong, he was only a late-stage superior-grade martial monarch at best. If a peak late-stage superior-grade martial monarch came, things would not be good. If Xiao Chen ran into a half-sage, there would be no chance of survival. He could only rely on the Situ clan to survive. Xiao Chen shook his head and rejected this person's invitation. This person had not said why the Lu clan was after him. Clearly, he did not trust Xiao Chen. At this moment, Situ Feng was clearly trying to rope Xiao Chen in. He wanted to use Xiao Chen and the Lu clan to tie him to the Situ clan's war chariot. Seeing that Xiao Chen had rejected his invitations several times, Situ Feng's attitude turned cold and he did not say anything more. "We've arrived. Take care of yourself." After leaving the inner area of the savage beast forest, Xiao Chen looked around. After he discovered that there was no danger, he planned to leave. Situ Feng looked around and thought for a moment. He said, "Friend, there is a stronghold of my Situ clan not far from here. How about you send me there? At that time, our clan head will reward you greatly. At this moment, I have not recovered from my injuries. Any spirit beast would be able to take my life immediately. I will be completely safe once I reach the stronghold." Situ Feng had already sent a hummingbird to the Situ clan about what he discovered. The clan head would definitely be alerted and bring all the experts over. At that time, when the Situ clan fought with the Lu clan, an additional person would increase their chances of victory. With Xiao Chen's strength, he was definitely worth roping in. If Situ Feng could accomplish this, in addition to his earlier contributions, the clan head would reward him greatly. Xiao Chen thought for a while before saying, "It doesn't matter. You lead the way. I don't want to walk too much." Situ Feng rejoiced in his heart. He quickly led the way to the Situ clan's stronghold. The two of them moved quickly in the dense forest. Occasionally, spirit beasts would appear. Xiao Chen released his aura and scared them away. He did not delay at all. Soon, a heavily guarded stronghold appeared before the two of them. Two Situ clan cultivators descended from the treetops. Situ Feng revealed a smile and quickly went forward. He whispered a few words to them, and the two cultivators gave Xiao Chen a deep look before returning to the stronghold. When Xiao Chen saw this, he did not want to waste any more time. He said, "Goodbye, you are already completely safe. Friend, don't be in such a rush to leave." Seeing that Xiao Chen still wanted to leave, Situ Feng grabbed him by the wrist. He said somewhat anxiously, "Clan head, they will be out soon. There will be a great gift for you later." Xiao Chen frowned slightly. His body moved slightly, and he shook off Situ Feng's grip. "Ha ha! This friend is the young hero who killed the Lu clan cultivators." Carefree laughter resounded. The many cultivators at the stronghold's entrance clustered around a dignified, gray-robed old man as he walked quickly towards Xiao Chen. Situ Feng's face lit up with joy. He quickly went forward and whispered a few words into the gray-robed old man's ear. The gray-robed old man looked at Xiao Chen with an increasingly grave expression. He waved his hand, indicating for Situ Feng to step back. A faint smile appeared on his aged face. "This brother looks unfamiliar. You must be from somewhere else. Speak, what reward do you want? Since you saved my Situ clan's people, Situ will definitely not mistreat you." The gray-robed old man stepped forward and spoke to Xiao Chen. His tone was very imposing. However, Xiao Chen noticed that the Situ clan experts behind the gray-robed old man had already spread out, forming a fan shape. The formation they stood in was very ingenious. As long as Xiao Chen made any strange movements, this group of people would immediately seal off Xiao Chen's path of retreat and surround and kill him. Xiao Chen's expression did not change. He held the lunar shadow saber in his left hand and casually took a step forward. His entire body formed a strange stance. Instantly, all the cultivators who had spread out in a fan-shaped formation felt that Xiao Chen was staring at them. Clearly, there was only one person and one pair of eyes. However, the stance he formed was very strange. It was like he could instantly draw his saber and chop down everyone. Old Sir is right. I am indeed from somewhere else. However, I was just passing by this place. Saving people is just something I did in passing. There is no need for any reward. Xiao Chen's expression did not change at all. When facing this half-sage Situlei, he did not show any fear at all. A boundless light flashed in the depths of Situlei's aged eyes. He wanted to see through this white-robed bladesman before him. This brat is clearly only a peak medial-grade martial sage. Why is he not showing any fear before this old man? What trump card does he have for him to be so confident? Situlei did not show any dissatisfaction on his face. He smiled and said, "Young hero is of noble character and unquestionable integrity. This old man admires you. Since there is no need for any reward, let's have a drink in the fort. No matter what, we should have a good chat." A wily old fox was indeed a wily old fox. Situ Feng's careless and crude performance was laughable when compared to the unfathomable Situlei. Xiao Chen performed a cupped fist salute and said, "There is no need. I am in a rush, so I will take my leave first." When Situlei heard this, his expression did not change. He smiled faintly and said, "Take care. I will not send you off." However, Situlei made a gesture with his hand behind his back. That was the Situ clan's order to surround and kill Xiao Chen. Once the gesture was completed, it would be the order. The Situ clan cultivators would mercilessly attack Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense clearly captured the movements of this person behind his back. Without waiting for Situlei's gesture, Xiao Chen took the initiative to make his move. As Xiao Chen lowered his cupped hands, he placed his right hand on his saber's hilt. The Qing emperor's drawing the saber was ready. The cultivators who had spread out in a fan shape all felt a strand of saber light flying at them. Wang! The 10-odd people quickly drew their weapons and dodged to the left and right. The originally perfect encirclement immediately turned chaotic. Xiao Chen released his hand and withdrew his killing qi. His lips curled up as he smiled and said, "I'm sorry, old sir. I was just joking. Don't take it seriously. I think the hand behind old sir's back was also a joke, right?" Situlei had only completed half of the gesture behind his back. Before he could complete it, something unexpected happened. Situlei could not help but feel startled. However, his expression did not change. Situlei quickly withdrew his hand and extended it to Xiao Chen. As if nothing had happened, he laughed loudly and said, "Indeed, heroes come from the youth. Little brother's courage is admirable." Xiao Chen took 2 steps back and calmly turned around. Then, he left under the unfriendly gazes of the group of superior-grade martial monarchs. After moving a kilometer away, Xiao Chen revealed an expression of luck on his calm face. That had been very dangerous earlier. 1 half-sage, 10-odd superior-grade martial monarchs, and more than 100 medial-grade and inferior-grade martial monarchs. If Xiao Chen had really attacked, he would not have been able to leave without paying a heavy price. Chapter 734. However, it was still fine. Situlei feared Xiao Chen's strength and did not dare to take risks, fearing that he would suffer too many losses. The people of the Situ clan are all bad people. You saved that person, yet they still treat you like this, Ao Jiao said angrily from the immortal spirit ring. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. Then, he said, logically speaking, they do not know that I have a treasure on me and that I am just passing by. Not only do I not have any grudges with them, but they also owe me a favor. They should not have reacted like that. Ao Jiao's eyes wandered, and she revealed an expression of understanding on her delicate face. She said, "You mean to say that there is something fishy about this?" Xiao Chen leaped onto a tree branch beside him and silently extended his spiritual sense back. He nodded and said, "There is definitely something strange about this. I want to see what exactly is going on." At the gates of the stronghold, Sidu Feng felt surprised. He asked, "Clan head, why are we just letting him go? This person is very strong and cannot be of use to us. He will be a source of trouble and disrupt our plans." At this moment, Situ Lei's expression had already turned completely sullen, looking extremely terrifying. He looked coldly at the surrounding people and said, "So what if we do not let him go? The encirclement is already broken. It will be too difficult to keep him here. We might as well let him go, lest we gain another enemy. I do not want anything unexpected to happen while we are fighting for the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit." When Situ Feng heard this, he was greatly startled. Is that white-robed bladesman really that horrifying? Even the clan head said that it would be difficult to keep him here. However, it is not safe to just let him go. This person's origins are unknown. It is hard to say that he is not here for the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit, an old man beside Sidu Feng said worriedly. An old man said worriedly. This old man had a profound cultivation, and he was only a step away from the half-saint realm. He was the great elder of the Sidu clan. Situ Lei looked into the distance and said coldly, "Naturally, we have to be on guard. Find 2 people who are good at tracking and have them follow him from afar. See if he is really just passing by. If he is not, we have to spend a lot of effort to kill him. The Lu clan's people are already having a headache. I will not allow anyone to fish in troubled waters." The voice was bone-chilling and emotionless, devoid of any warmth. Xiao Chen, who was on the tree branch, withdrew his spiritual sense and suddenly understood. He muttered, "So, that is how it is." The white nascent fruit had similar effects to the earth essence fruit. It could increase a cultivator's cultivation without any side effects. However, normally, the peak white nascent fruit could only live for 500 years. The 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit was extremely rare. It would not be an exaggeration to call it a mutated fruit. Its effects could even tempt martial sages. If the clan obtained it and gave it to the Sidu clan to break through to half-sage, the martial sage Shao would not be. 1 half-sage was equivalent to 50 superior-grade martial monarchs. In that case, the balance between the Sidu clan and the Lu clan of Azure Peak City would be broken. No matter who, the Tian, the other clan would. The clan would be, and N would be. N would. Chen, Lei would be, Chen. Tutu. Hey, Trash Master, you can't be thinking of something, right? You have to think clearly. With the strength of the 2 families added together, it's impossible for us to win. Chen Yu Chen Chen, to say. Chen, Chen, A. Chen Chen Chen. When Ao Jiao saw that Xiao Chen was tempted, she reminded him. Xiao Chen said softly, "I do have such intentions. To break through to superior-grade martial monarch, I would need at least 200 medial-grade spirit-gathering pearls. That is an astronomical sum. This 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit is practically made for me." Ao Jiao continued to advise, "However, it is too difficult to snatch food from the tiger's mouth from 2 half-sages. Furthermore, they have a group of martial monarch experts behind them." Xiao Chen leaped down from the tree branch and said calmly, "I know my limits. There are strong and weak half-sages. Clearly, these 2 are much weaker than Bai Wuxue and the others. The most important thing is that these 2 are not united. Given that, I have a good chance." Shwa! Shwa! Soft footsteps resounded. Xiao Chen scanned the area with his spiritual sense and saw 2 black-clad men sneaking around. They stuck to a tree 500 meters away, watching him carefully. The 2 black-clad men withdrew their auras. They were like a rock, showing no signs of life force as they stuck to the tree. Their concealment skills were very impressive. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen's spiritual sense was much stronger than the mental energy that regular cultivators used to sense. At such a close distance, Xiao Chen could not keep any secrets from them. After withdrawing his spiritual sense, Xiao Chen continued walking forward as if nothing had happened. There did not seem to be anything wrong with him. However, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. The stronghold of Azure Peak City's Lu clan in the Savage Beast Forest was also a heavily guarded mountain stronghold with many experts. There were many wooden houses in the mountain stronghold. The guards were stationed every 5 steps and 10 steps. Everyone had a tense expression on their faces. The Lu clan's upper echelon gathered in one of the wooden houses, anxiously discussing countermeasures. The rectangular mahogany table was filled with the elders of the Lu clan. Behind the tables and chairs stood a crowd of cultivators. For the sake of the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit, the Lu clan sent out all its elites. Even the weakest Lu clan disciple here was a medial-grade martial monarch. Seated at the top of the mahogany table was an old man dressed in a black brocade robe. He had a dignified expression on his face. He was the Lu clan's patriarch, Lu Chen. Beside him stood a young man. This was Lu En's eldest son, Lu En's. He was already a peak superior grade martial monarch. If Lu En's obtained the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit, he would use it to break through to half-sage. Patriarch, this subordinate is incompetent and allowed Sidu Feng to escape in the end. The black-clothed swordsman, who only had his right arm left, knelt on the ground, not daring to get up. Lu Chen said expressionlessly, "Get up. It does not matter whether you catch him or not." After he discovered our goal, he immediately used a hummingbird to send the news to that old man, Situ. An old man on his right said helplessly, "Our scouts have reported. Situ has already led all the experts of the clan to the gathering point in the Savage Beast Forest. It looks like it will be even more difficult to pick the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit this time." It was impossible for there to be no spirit beasts guarding the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit. When it fully ripened, it might even attract spirit beasts from far away. Trying to obtain the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit from among these spirit beasts was already difficult enough. Now, with the addition of the Situ clan, the number of variables had increased significantly. Lu Chen could not help but worry. A ferocious light appeared in Lu Chen's eyes. No one dared to look at him directly. He said coldly, "There can only be one clan in Azure Peak City. This old man has had enough of that old man, Situ. Since he dares to come, this is a good opportunity to destroy him." A strange light appeared in Lu En's eyes. He said, "Father, a mysterious white-robed bladesman saved Situ Feng. That white-robed bladesman easily injured 5 martial monarchs. We have to guard against him." Hatred flashed in the eyes of the one-armed black-clothed swordsman. He said, "Indeed, clan head, that person has a strange background and is very strong. If the Situ clan supports the Situ clan when the white nascent fruit ripens, it will be very disadvantageous for us." The Situ clan and the Lu clan were evenly matched. If one side received help, the balance would be broken. This person was not lying. Bring some people to investigate. If it is just a passing cultivator, then forget about it. This is a critical period. Do not complicate matters, Lu Chen said after thinking for a while. The one-armed black-clothed swordsman said anxiously, "Clan head, he injured a cultivator of my Lu clan and chopped off one of my arms. How can we just let this go?" Lu Chen's gaze turned cold as he looked at the one-armed black-clothed swordsman. He said in a frosty voice, "You piece of trash. Not only did you let someone leak the news, but you even dare to question my decision." The one-armed black-clothed swordsman's heart skipped a beat. When he felt Lu Chen's killing chi, his body trembled and he did not dare to say anything more. As dusk approached, Xiao Chen found an empty space and started a fire. Then, he started to roast some spirit beast meat that he had hunted. The 2 scouts of the Situ clan silently hid in a tree 500 meters away. They withdrew their auras and only used their peripheral vision to observe Xiao Chen. They were very careful and cautious, afraid of attracting Xiao Chen's attention. Speaking of which, Ao Jiao, what is the relationship between that eternal heavenly sword school and the Thunder King? Why does he have the Thunder Light Fleeing Shadows sword? If Situ Feng had not used this sword technique, Xiao Chen would have left long ago. It would be a lie to say that he was not curious. Ao Jiao, who was in the immortal spirit ring, felt very suspicious as well. Her delicate face filled with confusion. She said softly, "I don't know. I don't recall the Thunder King establishing his own sect." Crunch! Crunch! The golden beef of the golden savage ox, which had been picked up by a tree branch, gave off crunching sounds as the flames roasted it. The surface of the beef cracked open, and golden oil flowed out. The aroma of the beef whetted one's appetite. Xiao Chen twirled the tree branch in a practiced manner. As he looked at the golden beef, he asked, since he did not establish a sect, did the Thunder King leave behind any secret manuals? Ao Jiao replied without hesitation, he did leave behind secret manuals. However, I am sure that no one else obtained them. There is no possibility of them leaking out. Then, did he have any disciples? If he did, it would not be surprising if they leaked out, Xiao Chen continued asking. Ao Jiao shook her head and said, Sangmu has always been a loner. He did not even have many friends. How could he have a disciple? There were no secret manuals or inheritors. However, 2,000 years later, when Ao Jiao came to the Kunlun realm again, she saw the Thunder King's Thunderlight fleeing Shadow's sword. This was indeed strange. The golden beef was already cooked. Xiao Chen tore off a piece of beef and enjoyed the delicacy. Then, he took out a flask of wine from the universe ring and drank it. Xiao Chen sat by the bonfire and ate large chunks of meat, feeling very carefree. After the meat and wine were done, Xiao Chen stood up and stretched his body. Then, he held the lunar shadow saber in his hand and said softly, Actually, we will know the truth after we make a trip to the Eternal Heavenly Sword School. Of course, that is on the premise that I can survive and obtain the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, he quickly turned around and instantly drew the lunar shadow saber. The resplendent saber light instantly lit up the dark forest. 500 meters away, the tree hiding the two Situ clan cultivators exploded. The two Situ clan cultivators were completely exposed to Xiao Chen. Let's go. This person discovered us long ago. The two Situ clan cultivators were greatly startled. Without saying anything else, they split up and ran. Xiao Chen looked at the Situ clan cultivator on the left and smiled faintly. He pushed off the ground, and an azure dragon image appeared under his feet, carrying him into the air. The two scouts were good at hiding and tracking. Their cultivations were not high, they were only early-stage inferior-grade martial monarchs. How could they be a match for Xiao Chen? Chapter 735. Even if Xiao Chen used only half his strength, he could easily kill two people. The dragon image moved up and down, and Xiao Chen instantly caught up to that person. Xiao Chen did not waste any words. He infused his vast lightning-attributed quintessence into his saber and killed that person in one strike. The blood on the saber exploded into a red mist by the electric light. When it spread out, a red light spread out. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes and peered through the red light. Then, he started to chase after the remaining person. When that person heard his companion's miserable scream, he paled in fright. He died in one exchange. Who exactly was the person the clan had told them to follow? Blue Dragon Tail Whip. A strong wind blew, and Xiao Chen's body moved in an arc. He passed by many towering trees, bringing with him a strong gust of wind. With a "so" sound, he suddenly appeared in front of that person. That person quickly ran away. Xiao Chen's casual kick carried 500 tons of force. Everywhere it passed, space trembled. Bang! Xiao Chen's foot landed on that person's chest at lightning speed, breaking his sternum. The force surged through his body, rupturing his internal organs. That person vomited a mouthful of blood and flew back with a pained expression. His back crashed into a tree and he could not help but vomit another mouthful of blood. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and walked over calmly. As his footsteps got closer, that person's eyes filled with boundless despair and pain. Let me ask you a question. If you want to live, tell me the truth, Xiao Chen said indifferently as he looked at the other party, not showing any emotion at all. Xiao Chen's overwhelming strength and unparalleled sharpness caused this person's mind to be in chaos. He did not dare to disobey. What question? That person asked in a quivering voice as he leaned against the tree. Xiao Chen looked coldly at the other party and said, "Tell me everything you know about the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit. Tell me everything in detail." That person's heart skipped a beat. He instinctively wanted to quibble, so he said, "I don't." Bang. Before Xiao Chen could say that he knew, he kicked this person's chest again. The powerful force caused the tree behind this person to break apart with a loud boom. His body was sent flying backwards. After landing on the ground, the man rolled on the ground. His internal organs were all damaged, and his sternum was broken. His face was pale, without any trace of blood. Xiao Chen stepped forward and said calmly, "Even if you don't tell me, I can find out from others. Now, I will ask you again. Are you going to tell me or not?" Seeing Xiao Chen's decisiveness, that person had a pained expression as he looked at Xiao Chen in fear. Not daring to hesitate any longer, he said, I'll talk, I'll tell you everything, just don't kill me." After listening to the other party's story, Xiao Chen had a thorough understanding of the matter. The 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit needed another 7 days to ripen. This was the reason why the two clans did not rush to make a move. There was also a rank 9 spirit beast guarding the white nascent fruit. When it ripened, it would attract even more strong spirit beasts. "Give me a message to Sitilei. Tell him that he went back on his word. I am very angry." After saying that, Xiao Chen gently pushed off the ground and quickly left this place. "Are you really not afraid of him snitching? Are you really going to let him go?" Ao Jiao asked, feeling it was strange. If Sitilei found out that Xiao Chen wanted the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit, he would be seeking trouble for himself. Xiao Chen had a calm expression. He smiled and said, "Since I made a promise, there is no need to kill him. Furthermore, if he returns alive, he might even be able to help me." Sitilei is a shrewd person with age. He is suspicious and cautious. This is a matter of life and death for his clan. He will be even more careful. From the Situ clan cultivators, Xiao Chen already knew where the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit was. It was on a small slope near the savage beast forest. Without needing to think too much, Xiao Chen could guess that the Situ clan and Lu clan cultivators were near the slope. It would be irrational for him to go there now. After all, there were still 7 more days before the 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit ripened. There was no rush. After muttering to himself for a while, Xiao Chen took out the painting of the Qing Emperor drawing the saber from the universe ring and slowly unfurled it. When the painting was completely unfurled, it gently drifted over and hovered in front of Xiao Chen. The might of the Qing Emperors drawing the saber in actual combat was extraordinary. Xiao Chen had experienced it firsthand. This was just a superficial understanding of it, and it already had such combat prowess. If it improved further, it would be even more incredible. Xiao Chen's interest in this mysterious painting deepened. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Chen looked at the person in the painting. The person in the painting wore blue dragon battle robes. His long hair fluttered wildly, and his appearance was delicate and handsome. If others looked carefully, they would discover that Xiao Chen looked very similar to this person. However, his eyes were filled with the vicissitudes of life, as if they were ancient. It was unknown how many years this person had experienced for such a deep gaze. Xiao! A saber light flashed, and the person in the painting suddenly moved. However, it was not clear whether the saber moved first or the person moved first. Xiao Chen had seen the trajectory of this saber before. Although he could not clearly see the other party's figure, based on his vague perception, Xiao Chen quickly drew his saber and blocked this saber. To others, Xiao Chen did not move at all, as if he was meditating. However, at this moment, Xiao Chen's mental state fluctuated intensely. This battle was even more intense than the one with Bai Wuxue, exhausting his mental state by several times. After 10 seconds, Xiao Chen's complexion paled and he took 10 steps back. After a while, the horror in his eyes slowly disappeared. 10 seconds. I finally managed to block 32 saber strikes. I also discovered 2 different trajectories of the saber strikes. Xiao Chen put away the painting and closed his eyes. Then, he started to comprehend the intense mental state battle. Time passed slowly. At some point in time, Xiao Chen's hand had already grasped the saber hilt at his waist, forming a strange stance. Many illusionary figures leaped out of Xiao Chen's body, hacking at the towering trees in front. All sorts of scenes appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. Saber lights danced around, and electric light shot out. Each figure had a different trajectory of the saber strike. The saber lights chopped the trees in half in Xiao Chen's mind. Leaves flew everywhere, and strong winds blew. When the 34 figures leaped out, Xiao Chen opened his eyes at an appropriate time. His aura blended in with the surroundings. Xiao Chen clearly only had a pair of eyes, but he locked onto all 34 trees in front, unable to distinguish which were real or fake. Xiao. Following the feeling in his heart, Xiao Chen naturally drew the saber in his hand. The saber light was resplendent and dazzling. In the dark night, it was like a blazing sun, shining brightly. Ka Xie. Ka Xie. The 34 trees in front were instantly chopped in half at the waist. Rows of trees fell with a loud rumble. The remaining tree trunks were all of different heights and gaps. When Xiao Chen saw this scene, he could not help but rejoice. It turned out that the saber could really be drawn like this. If it was just the instant the saber was drawn, one could split the saber chi into 34 parts. Although such a technique was difficult, it was still possible for an expert bladesman of the younger generation to do it. However, to achieve a different trajectory, position, and strength for each strand of saber chi, aside from a true grandmaster-level senior, no one else in the younger generation could do it. First young master, there is some movement over there. Let's go over and take a look. Suddenly, Xiao Chen's sharp ears picked up footsteps and the voices of cultivators. He could not help but frown slightly. Xiao Chen scanned with his spiritual sense and discovered 8 superior-grade martial monarchs of the Lu clan 3 kilometers away. Under the leadership of a young man, they were rushing over here at high speed. Saber lights danced around, chopping the trees in front into pieces. Then, Xiao Chen wiped away the traces of his training. Xiao Chen leaped into the air and withdrew his aura, hiding in a nearby tree. Dong! 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 The footsteps drew closer. The people led by Lu Enz appeared at the place where Xiao Chen had practiced his saber. Lu Enz casually looked around. The trees in front had been chopped into pieces by the saber chi. Then, he closed his eyes and sensed the remnant lightning attributed quintessence in the air. After a while, he opened his eyes and said, "Look around. They look similar to the target. They are lightning attributed bladesmen. After discovering them, sound the alarm immediately." The one-armed black-clad swordsman followed beside Lu Enz and did not leave with the others. The black-clad swordsman was not strong in the first place. Now that he had lost an arm, his combat prowess decreased even more. Lu Enz brought the black-clad swordsman mainly because he wanted the black-clad swordsman to help him identify the target. Lu Enz held his sword and asked interestedly, "Lu Hua, how strong is that white-robed bladesman? Tell me objectively." Hatred flashed in Lu Hua's eyes. When he recalled Xiao Chen's attack, he could not help but reveal an expression of horror. Very strong. His cultivation is not high, but his saber techniques are very strange. I clearly judged the trajectory of his saber. However, I still missed when I was about to attack. Lu Enz's lips curled up in a smile. He said, changing moves at the last minute. It looks like he is a bladesman with sharp eyes and extremely fast attacks. When Lu Hua heard this, he hesitated for a while. Then, he said, "First young master, he was indeed very fast." However, this subordinate felt that he did not change his move at the last minute. Lu Enz's expression turned grave. He could not understand. He said, "Since you already judged the trajectory of his saber, and he did not change his move at the last minute, logically speaking, you should have been able to receive that saber strike." Lu Hua could tell that Lu En's suspected that his judgment was wrong, that he had been fooled by a feint. He quickly denied it. "First young master, I dare say that this subordinate's judgment was correct." Lu En's glanced at Lu Hua's mutilated arm and smiled in disdain. However, he did not say anything. So. After the 8 superior-grade martial monarchs who went out to search failed to find anything, they shot back like arrows and landed before Lu En's. "Reporting to first young master, we did not find that person," the black-clad men reported in unison. They looked at Lu En's, showing their absolute loyalty. They should be death-sworn soldiers trained by the Lu clan. Xiao Chen, who had already hidden himself in the tree, heaved a sigh of relief when he heard this. He was not afraid of these 8 people. Instead, he was afraid of being discovered and exposing his strength. Before the white nascent fruit ripened, the Lu clan would target him. Lu En's asked doubtfully, "Not even a single trace?" "Not a single trace. We did not discover anything." When Lu En's heard this, he laughed loudly. He said, "How could there be no trace at all? Even if he heard our footsteps and left in advance, he would have left some traces in his haste." You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.